Oh, wow, yeah.
Hello and welcome to Geek First Sidequest, your weekly stop for video game news, reviews, and more here on the Geek First Podcast Network. I am the potion making Dylan Musk, and we got a full house tonight. I'm very excited for that. Which starting off here, we got the studious Kirkland Patzer. How you doing today?
Doing very good. I'm very excited to talk about some Hogwarts Legacy with you guys. I think it'll be a fun, magical time.
Mm-hmm. Then we got the Wigan Weld, Taylor Field.
I'm here. I'm ready.
And the Clown Prince of Hogwarts, Travis Snell. How's it going?
Expelliarmus. I'm good. I'm good. I'm ready for this review, see what we talk about. But yeah, it should be a fun one.
Yeah, here in Canada, we had a long weekend, so I feel like all of us are just kind of chilling. I feel like that's the vibe right now. Just a little, a little bit low energy, but I'm sure as we
10-minute
get into
cast and we're out.
it'll get heated up. But yeah, just a quick few shout outs here before we get into it today. We're going to be talking all about Hogwarts Legacy, and I want to quickly talk about something else for like 2 to 3 minutes beforehand, but we'll get into that afterwards. A couple of quick shout outs. Of course, we're reviewing Last of Us on a weekly basis. That's been going well. Check that out. The Arcane retrospective is up on Patreon now. Next weekend, you'll get the second episode of that. So that's very exciting. Good time to go check that out. And other than that, you know, Twitter's, Facebook's, what do we got? We got TikTok somehow. We got Instagram.
I think our TikTok's dead.
Is the TikTok
dead. I
officially
think
dead?
so. It's hard, you know.
Don't worry about the
when you don't-
TikTok.
Yeah.
Go check Twitter, Facebook. Those are the main spots. The website. And then, yeah, Patreon as well. Of course, there's always a lot of stuff other than the Arcane retrospective. All sorts of things early and ad-free. What else is there? I don't know. We did an Ant-Man review recently. I mentioned Last of Us. We got newscasts and all sorts of stuff. So a lot of good stuff going on. And I guess, you know, if you're tuning to this, you're probably a Harry Potter fan to some extent. Last year, was it last year or was it 2 years ago when the retro happened?
It came out last year. You recorded it 2 years ago. That's the
you go.
timeline. Yeah.
So yeah, we have a retrospective for all of those movies, and I think we have reviews for all the Fantastic Beasts.
Yes,
as
we
well.
do.
So,
Me and
so-
Taylor powered through that last third. Thank God the last one. But yeah.
So if you want more content in the Wizarding world, we got you covered over here. But let's get into it. Before we talk about Hogwarts, I want to brag, but also mention that Warzone Season 2, Warzone 2 Season 2 is out, and they released a new map recently. And over the weekend, me, Taylor, Travis, and Emily went pretty ham. Like we probably played 25 matches of this thing on the new Resurgence map, so you can
Almost 7
respawn
hours, I think,
and stuff
if
like.
you put it all
Yeah.
together. Yeah.
We played a lot, and the first night, you know, we had a lot of really close calls. We were doing pretty well, but we couldn't quite get that. We didn't get a win on the first night, I don't think. But then the second
one.
night,
No, we got one.
One
we got
win.
one.
was
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was the Taylor clutch, right? Is that the?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, with the
Lots of
shop moment.
swimming.
A lot of swimming. But then then our second night we went ham. I think we got 4 wins.
We did, yeah.
Everyone clutched like the game as being the game winner. With Travis and Emily kind of shared one, a nice little couples end, which was cool. And then we had one game, Kirkland, where none of us died at any point, and we all were alive at the end of the game. I think Travis was downed, but he was.
I was down, yeah.
Yeah.
But I was down specifically to get that call out because I was
Yeah.
bait and it worked out. We powered through.
We
that
destroyed
match.
that match. We were just like a sleeper cell sent out. We were all moving in
Yeah.
like perfect formation through that beach area. Oh, it was so sick. But yeah, the map is great. I've had a lot of fun. I don't know if I really have much to say on the other mechanics and things that were added, new weapons. Like I don't really pay enough attention to that. But the new map is fantastic. It might be my favorite of the Warzone maps that they've done so far. I guess it's only out of 4, but like might be my favorite. So I'm pretty impressed.
I'd say easier money, easier loadouts all
Money,
around.
yeah,
So
for
it
sure,
feels
yeah.
like that original Resurgence kind of vibe again, which is nice.
Yeah, very fast paced.
Yeah.
And stay away from Castle. That's another thing.
Stay away
Yeah.
from Castle, yeah. No, I'm happy with all the change. I'm a big Resurgence guy, so I like that. But I just even felt with the main Warzone, like Battle Royale, there was some issues with that. So I have to go back and play because I remember the whole time before the season without like, we're going to change lots of things, don't worry, because the rumor was their player count was like dropping. I'm not sure like by millions, but it was dropping and stuff like that. So I'm sure in actual Battle Royale they changed some stuff, but yeah, it was nice and I really liked the map. And you know what, the water, I was iffy on it, like when I'd heard before, okay, how's this going to work? But you know what, now the water's there, I think it's a very fun mechanic, especially in Resurgence, it's great. So Kirkland, you got to answer that call one night, you know?
I'm excited. Yes.
Are you? You say no,
No,
you
I'm
know,
excited to get in
no,
there.
no answer when we say when drop for COD. You know,
I think I told you I was busy this weekend. At least when I told Taylor.
he didn't pass along. He said Kirkland's gonna be here. Yeah, but
Another way. You know,
It's
I
fun.
totally agree. The swimming is surprisingly very fun, and there's a lot to it, and you're not just like useless when you're in the water, and
Yeah.
like the stealth element of it is really captivating. And the map uses it pretty well. I think they put it just in the right spots, because there is small rivers in the previous map, the Al Maz or whatever it's called. But I don't feel like I ever had a good battle in the water or anything.
Yeah.
It wasn't really made for that. But this one being a smaller island is kind of all about that. So
And it adds to
That's
the
a lot of
enemies
fun.
too. When you're on the platforms, you see something, you're like, is that a wave? Is that a guy? And you're like looking and stuff. Like there's a new element of danger for you too, because you have to watch kind of all over the place. Because the ground, you'd always see, okay, someone's running at you, but the water, they could be coming out of nowhere. It's good stuff.
It's like the OG Warzone, the leaves, the birds flying around. You're like,
yeah.
oh, what's that?
freak out. Yeah, because they even have that animation in some spots where it's like a fish, like a jumping
They
fish.
do.
Yes.
And there was a few times where I made a call out. I'm like, "There's a guy right there," and it's like, "Oh no, I am lying. It's just some weird animation going on." Always in the same spot too, which is why I thought there was a guy there. But those fish, they always jump in the same spot. But yeah, shouts to that. Really just got back in there. Really loving that again. So that's been fun. Okay, now into the important stuff. Hogwarts Legacy came out a couple weeks ago now. Normally we do reviews like the few days after the game comes out, but we've had a lot of time with this. I just want to quickly go around the room here and just tell me what house you're in. If you want to tell me about your character, your name, if you have a play style or anything like that, and then just how far you are or what level, that kind of thing. So Kirkland, what about you?
Yes, so I was selected to be Ravenclaw, and I followed that. I didn't do the overwrite. that is what I was planning on being anyways. Joining the game, so
It's
I was
easier when you
happy
get
to-
it. If you didn't get
Yeah.
Ravenclaw, you might have had a different decision there.
Yeah, no, exactly. I definitely would have overwritten it. So yeah, I got Ravenclaw. I just named my character my own name. I wasn't anything too creative there.
You put the last name in there too, or is it? Just
I did put the
Kirkland?
last name in there.
Nice.
So yeah, it's officially.
Oh, does
me.
it asks you for it, right? Like you
Yeah.
specifically. Yeah.
Exactly. So, yeah, no, I don't know if it would be, I don't know if it would allow you to just put the one name, like a McLovin effect or something, but I'm curious. Maybe on the
Yeah,
next
maybe you could just
character
put
I
like a
make.
period or
I
something.
think you do a period. Yeah.
Okay, there you
or
go.
a space. yeah.
Yeah, and I beat the main story today.
Nice.
I believe my runtime is 35 hours, and I'm level 32
Damn.
right now. I've basically
Legend.
finished like the main relationship storylines, and then there's like a buttload of side quests and stuff I
Right.
still have to do. So many like Merlin trials and like other like collectible type things to do in the game.
You can't go
it-
5 steps without another Merlin trial popping up. They are
You got
It's
Mickle
insane.
Reed?
I like went into my collections to just like see the number, and there's like 90 something of them. I'm like, oh my god, I think I have like 20. Like it's
That's
insane. But
insane.
so there's plenty more still to do. And yeah, I just freaking got fully immersed into this game. I loved it so much. I had like my last final exam last week, but leading up to it, like I didn't have to go to school because it was just review. So I was just like at home playing Hogwarts Legacy, and yeah, clearly my runtime it corresponds with just where I was this last week, and I was just in Hogwarts land, and what a fun magical time it was. I don't think it's a perfect game. I definitely have my grievances with it, which I will bring up, but yeah, I can safely say they blew me out of the park with this game. There's lots of fun.
Cool. Travis, how about you?
Yeah, so right now, I think I'm kind of close to where Kirkland is because I'm level 28 and I'm like 26 hours or something like that. So if you said you finished around 32, I'm not sure how much you mainlined and whatnot because I feel like at the beginning of the game I did a lot of just second I saw the Forbidden Forest, I took a U-turn and went there and spent like probably longer than I should have. So I think I'm getting closer to that main story and whatnot. So yeah, I think I'm of two minds where I think if you're a Potter fan, and I am too, like I think if you're any type of Potter fan, hardcore or just a little bit, you enjoy this game. I talked about some Sidequest a couple weeks ago. I think it's like fan fulfillment. I think it checks all those boxes of if you want to be in the world of Harry Potter, you're there. I think there's lots of fun aspects to it. I think they put lots of care and detail as far as the costumes, the world. You'll get lost exploring just the castle, even for hours and stuff like that, right? And then eventually I think it's just that it doesn't, it's exactly that. It's like the best kind of really good RPG you can think of, but with a Potter skin, in my opinion. It doesn't push anything forward. It doesn't change anything. There's nothing where it's like, oh man, if it's not a Potter fan, so like, oh, you have to play this. I think it's like, if you like RPGs, you like Potter fan, there's a line there, but I don't think this is a game that I think people are just happy because it hits a lot of those boxes as far as nostalgia, and you get to pick your house and the spells and stuff like that. And the game overall is good, but then you get kind of what we've complained about every other, I feel, RPG in the like RPG in the past, I don't know, 5 years, probably since this podcast has happened, right? The lack of feeling like choice is important. That's one. You could have just taken all that out, which I'm sure we'll get into. As far as I actually like the combat for the most part, but I found, I'm not trying to be like a bro here or a guy, but I just found like it got super repetitive and easy eventually, where even I went to hard and I'm still like, I'm not finding like a challenge here, and you just get riddled with side objectives, and it's just like, it's good because I feel like the first little bit, like the first few hours of the game, you're like, oh, mission to mission, and then once you're out in the world, it's just like you talked about, there's like boom, nothing, like 50, just like boom, 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 and like it's fun for a while, but I think eventually it just got too repetitive, where that's where I even said these to these guys, where I was playing hard. There was one day I just played for the entire day, into the next day I had already, like, I think it was like day one, like sunk in like 15 hours, like I was going hard, but then eventually I picked up, I taken up the whole weekend, I picked up one more day, and I just didn't really want to touch it. I still had fun with it, I've still played it again since then, but I needed like a break because it's nothing that's really like, oh, this is so good. And I think it's something that maybe I'm spoiled, because unfortunately for Dylan, that got me to play Elden Ring last year, when it's just like you had that world of, you go out there. I hate it now when it's just all these icons are out there and you know exactly what's around the corner. I hate that now. So I'm kind of spoiled that way, and I think they could have taken that. I have some more cons to bring up later when we get to specific points, but I had a really fun time with it. I think it's a good game still, and I've had a lot of fun with me and Emily playing it, because we take different journeys and whatnot. I think there's just a certain point, maybe around that like 15 to 16 hour mark, where I'm kind of like, okay, I've done what I've needed to with this game. I'm going to beat it because I'm close enough, but I think I got, once you've unlocked everything, and there's some other mechanics I'll talk about too. So I'm positive overall, but nothing, not a game changer. It's just if you're a Potter fan, it's a home run. That's what I think. They did its job. So
Gotcha. Taylor Field.
So I've not played any of those like Elden Rings or like Dark Souls very minutely, so I don't have that kind of like open world comparison. Like the only thing I could really kind of look at it in comparison to be like an Assassin's Creed Valhalla, because as far as open world games go, as of late, I've not really gotten well versed in a lot of them recently, but this game is absolutely fantastic. I think it's just like the bee's knees. I think it's so great. The moment I put it on, I was absolutely hooked. I totally thought I was going to get Gryffindor, and again, I did the test and got Hufflepuff, and then when I got in the game, the Sorting Hat's like, no, you're going in the Hufflepuff. Like, okay, Madison was like, you got to pick Hufflepuff, so I ended up going Hufflepuff. Totally derailed what I thought I was going to go into this game with being, but I'm really, really enjoying it. I'm enjoying interacting with the characters. I got characters like I like to help, other characters I don't like to help, and just I think it's very cool to explore the world. I think I'm over like 15 to 20 hours into it, and I'm like, I think I'm level 21. But for the most part, I get caught up doing side quests. I get caught up exploring. As soon as I saw the whole map unlock and I got my broom, I was on the broom. I was going to the teleport, like the flue powder spots, just trying to unlock them and just check out different areas. As soon as I got that like dueling arena area with like the trolls and everything like that, I was like, oh, this is great. Just popping off next round, just going to town. I really like that. And the way that the spells work, I think it's incredible. When I'm fighting, and again, this is in lieu of like what Travis said, like it is relatively easy, the combat system. I like that because I feel like, holy shit, like I'm a powerful wizard. I'm fucking these people up. I'm really taking it.
First year Hogwarts, you're just like fucking Voldemort.
Oh yeah. So I'm like, just like, I love the way you can combo yourself and set yourself up like, okay, like Ascendo and like, you know, like Accio, and like pull them towards you, and then you can just like blast them, and then you can like do your ancient magic spell down. Like it's just so much fun, like freeze them and everything. Like the way you can do different combos, I really enjoy. This is a game that came out a long time ago called Two Worlds, which is exceedingly laggy, but they got a sequel called Two Worlds 2, and it had a mechanic in there where you can actually create spells, and you can conjure different types of magic and stack them with other spells. So you could like conjure rocks to fall from the sky, but then you could blast fire at them and then like spin them around with wind. It was such a cool concept, and I wish that it was done in another game. And in this, I feel like this is a very close, similar, not the same, but similar in that regard. And I really, really like that. So like Skyrim, I'm always going mage, and so with to have a fully fledged game like this where I can be a mage is great. It's such a cinematic experience that like if you have someone who's just sitting on the couch with you watching you play this game, like my wife Madison, she's just like, oh, you're gonna play Harry Potter, and I'm like, I was gonna maybe play Call of Duty. He's like, oh, we'll play Harry Potter. It's like, okay, we'll play Harry Potter. She just loves watching the story and
This is
and
Harry
everything.
Potter. I unlocked a gun in it, babe. Don't worry.
Travis, did you say what house you're in?
I forgot to say. So I exactly like my life story. I got Gryffindor. I chose Slytherin because I don't want to be in Gryffindor. I just want to be on that side. And especially there's just some things I'm happy. So that always happens. And then my character's name, Dylan knows, it's Vance Gen or Vance Jean because I did the Voldemort thing. Because ever since Elden Ring, I've started because I had to pick a character. Right? I'm like, what do I do this and go back down? I'm gonna do Vengeance, like Batman. I make him look like Paston, but red eyes, stuff like that. So I made my character look the same. But I did the Voldemort thing where I took.
Can you do
all the
red
letters-
eyes in this game?
Orange. So that's like
Orange,
so it's like
okay.
he's starting to turn into the reds. But yeah, so in this I did the Voldemort thing. So Vengeance is I just mixed the letters around to Vance Skeen, and that's
I
where
am
Emily
Lord
looked at.
Vengeance or something.
Yeah, yeah, and that's where Emily looked at me and said, "I've never thought you're more of a loser till this moment." I'm like, "Oh, it's." But yeah, and now so
Harry
any
Potter.
any name that I'm gonna be a normal one, I'll be Vance Skeen from now on instead of if I can not be Vengeance. So, but yeah, so Slytherin, Vance Skeen.
Love it.
Soon to be a Dark Lord at some point.
Taylor, is your character's name Taylor, or did you give him a fun name?
In
Not to say
honor
that Taylor's
of
not a fun name.
Ruben Olsen.
Yeah.
yeah, Travis
First name
Snell, that's what I
Cryptid,
did.
last name Clue.
I actually went with well, I don't know if yeah, like I
Whoa, is it like Adolf Hitler Jr.? What are you gonna say? No,
no.
Oh, I don't know what I want to say. I don't know what I want to say.
I thought it would be cool to keep it in the lineage of Harry Potter characters,
Oh,
and so I
okay.
went with like
Ronald
Oh, you're
Weasley.
breaking canon.
I thought like okay, like what are some different like random house characters in Harry
Hagrid
Potter?
Jr..
I thought okay, there's the Diggories. I thought you know what, let's just go with the Diggories because I like Goblet of Fire, and I was thinking okay, like well my dad's name is Arthur, so I'll throw an Arthur in there, and I'm like okay, Arthur Diggory, and I thought it was great. And there's a point in the game where I encountered the painting of another Diggory. I was like oh, this is great, I love this. So
The painting's like, you're a phony. You're a
you're not a
liar.
real Diggory.
You're lying.
When that popped up, were you thinking like, wow, this game like personalizes this character's name to your character, or were you just like, oh, that must be just
I just thought it was just I knew it was there.
there's like a Weasley in
My
there and stuff
boy!
like yeah, they're definitely
Yeah,
thrown in.
there's
Some.
a black. Yeah, it would have been great if you bumped into a Diggory though, and they have no fucking clue. You're all like, I've never met you before. Who are you?
You're lying. You're not a real dude.
You're
I'm
not
a
a real
hero.
Diggory. Okay, as for myself, I also am in House Hufflepuff, which is something I've talked about recently. Where I did the test in the game and I got Ravenclaw, but then I switched to Hufflepuff because that's where I feel like I am. I feel like I have imposter syndrome with Ravenclaw, even though when I did the Pottermore thing back in the day, it gave me that as well. But I felt cheated because like the hat only asks you 2 questions.
Yeah.
And I felt like that's not enough to determine which path I'm going to be in for most characters for like
Yeah.
7 years of your life. I just felt like, come on, give me a couple more questions. It's just like, do you like to explore? I'm like, yeah. It's like, okay, you're a Ravenclaw. I'm like, I don't know if you really know my personality very well, but I switched to Hufflepuff also for the reason that we talked about this recently. And I think Taylor forgot or doesn't care, but we were like, oh, this is cool. We're all going to play the game. We're all going to be in a different house. It'll be great for the review. And then Taylor's like, no, fuck that.
I was
gonna
gonna be
do
Gryffindor, but who am I to deny the Sorting Hat?
But yeah, and then by the time that happened, like Gryffindor was the house I'd want to play the least, so I'm like, I'm not going to switch to that. And so
Yeah.
we have no Gryffindor representation
sorry.
Shay,
on this,
Shay
but that's
played
that's
Gryffindor.
plenty overrepresented in the series anyway. So
Yeah, you can go watch the movies if you want to see the Gryffindor
exactly.
perspective.
Travis, what did
Uh,
Emily get?
She
When
got
did?
Ravenclaw.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Shay got
think-
Gryffindor.
I
So,
can't
yeah.
remember if
Interesting.
I think Emily is the worst at deciding, so she got that in the survey, and she was thinking about changing, but she thinking, no, this is what the house wants, so she went Ravenclaw. So
Mhm.
apparently, this is the
Respect the
podcast
house.
just not big Gryffindor people. We don't want to be
We've seen it too
associated with
much.
Gryffindor.
We've seen
Yeah,
it too
been
much.
there, done that.
They're overrated. They're like the Patriots. We don't.
I mean, I'm pretty happy with the Hufflepuff common room. It's pretty nice. It's just like a Hobbit home, so I'm happy with that choice.
awesome.
Playtime wise, I'm at I think 18 hours. I'm level 24-ish, something like that. At the point in the story I'm in, Taylor, I don't know if this is I think this is not really a spoiler, but I just
go for it.
unlocked the Hippogriff is essentially where I am in the story. So I feel like I have a lot to go. I've done definitely a lot of side questing, particularly for if there's anyone in Hogwarts that has a side quest, I like to do those. If there's random people in random towns, I'm kind of iffy on if I want to go
See you
fight this
later.
troll for this person, but
Yeah.
I do some of those as well. Yeah, and I guess so. For my thoughts on the game, it made a very strong first impression. The first 5 hours of this game, I was amazed. Like, first of all, the visuals of this like might be one of the best, one of like just potentially the best game I've ever seen. At least in terms of some of the lighting. When you're in certain rooms in Hogwarts and like the shiny linoleum floor with like a little bit of water on the reflections, like it looks beautiful. And in terms of the scale of it, like it's a huge game and all that. And I guess I was pretty amazed in the first few hours. But I think it wore off surprisingly quickly for me, kind of the Travis, what you were mentioning. I think I had that same effect for me too, where when I hit the 10, 12, 15 hour mark, I just kind of feel like when I sit down to play now, I play for like a half an hour. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm good. I've had my fix here. And I don't even know exactly where that stems down to, because there is a lot going on in the game beyond the like icon vomit that's all over the map. Like, there is good variety in some of the quests, and there's a lot of different kind of things you can do, but there's just something about it that I'm not too super into. And I think for me, it's really I can boil it down to two things. For me, it's the exploration is very weak. It's pretty much what Travis was saying. Like last year, Grounded and Elden Ring, amazing open world exploration in terms of you just feel totally engaged with those worlds, and you're not just following that little yellow line. I hate little yellow line syndrome that so many AAA games have these days, and this game has too much of that. And
Sometimes
like, I don't
it's
know.
purple. Sometimes you can get a purple.
Sometimes,
line.
yeah, if you set your own, it's purple. But like, you cannot really get around Hogwarts without that thing either. Like, it's so hard to parse and figure out where your classroom is. How would you ever find where Charm's class is without following the line? So it's just like the game was not designed for that. And so I've felt that the exploration side of things isn't doing it for me. And then for me, it's just like, you don't spend much time in Hogwarts. Like, after those first few hours, I just feel like I'm not there. I don't feel like a student in this game, and I guess I was hoping for more gamification of the student aspect of it, and even like maybe consequences of things. Like, I don't know, there's a little point in the story when you have to sneak around at night. You like go through the library. There's another moment where you have to sneak through like the hospital wing or something like that. And it's like this thing where, the prefects are out. You're not supposed to be out at night, even though like I've been walking around at night the whole game and no one really comments on it. But like, I think this is where my immersion kind of broke in a way where I did one of those quests where I, wasn't allowed to get seen by the prefects. As soon as the quest was done, I went back in the door I came from, and I walked right in front of a prefect, and like he did not give a shit. Like it's obviously so many of those moments are just manufactured for a little quest, but the world is not actually really built that way. It's not responsive, and I guess that's where I feel like it's a bit of a museum instead of an amusement park in certain ways. So I there is a lot of things that I think are great about it. Like, I think the customization in this game is fantastic. Some of the quests are really great. There's certain quests like the professor assignments. We'll talk about those. I think those are really fun. And like the room of requirements really interesting. And there is a lot of variety, but yeah, like even like combat, I'm not super intrigued by. So there is still some things I'm enjoying about the experience. But I guess that first like 5 hours or so, the shine of that has worn off for me, and now I just see it as kind of a checklisty open world where I'm following that little yellow line and doing puzzles that are like at best a 2 out of 10, and I'm just like going through the motions, unfortunately. But there is some good stuff, so I'm excited to talk about that as well. But yeah, let's go a little bit deeper here. The first question I wanted to ask you guys is how you feel like this game does at kind of, the promise of this game, or at least what people were wanting from it, was like that Harry Potter game we've been dreaming for our whole life. There was some games back in the day, whether they're movie tie-ins or not.
Chamber of Secrets, man.
Yeah, like there's some
shit. Yeah.
there's some fun to be had, but I feel like we've always wanted something like a bit more expansive in terms of just like stripping away the combat and the great open world stuff. In terms of like that Harry Potter Hogwarts fantasy, is it doing it for you guys in that way?
I think that's like a 10 out of 10 for me, honestly.
Okay.
I think I agree with you as far as like they could factor more of the student stuff into the game, but I think you can do that yourself. I'm mixed on it because I'm a pro. Like I said, I'm like a pro and con where you learn how to make potions, you learn how to pop plants, you can get a bunch of fantastic. You can be newt, you can get a bunch of fantastic beasts and get this whole whatever aquarium, and that's how
The
you can make
vivarium.
you can make different gear and upgrades and stuff like that. I think just the problem is you don't ever feel like you have to do that. There is for a little bit, but then when I'm at a point and I got like $15,000, why am I gonna go back and waste
Oh
an hour
my
of my
god, big
time?
money over here. The
Oh,
most
yeah.
I've ever had is like 3K at any time.
Oh yeah,
Just
no,
swiping that credit card, buying those.
no,
DLCs.
sell those animals, guys. Catch the animals and sell
Oh
them.
my
You make
gosh.
you make
Well,
bang.
those
No, you make
poachers I
bang.
was
Animal
told to fucking
traffickers.
No,
execute
no,
in Dark
no,
Forest.
no. They go to a nice zoo. I'm not sure if you've met in Kirkland. I'm
Yeah.
sure gone to that place, but yeah, they go to like a nice zoo. A buyer's like, oh, I'll take care of them.
Have you seen the zoo?
But yeah,
You done
it's
inspection?
great. I've known her for years, but no.
She's wearing a big hippogriff coat or something.
So like, there's part of me from like, okay, the parent point of view where I don't have much time to play video games. Like, okay, I appreciate I can just buy everything, but from a fan, I almost would like, no, you got to make this potion. Sorry, you just can't go buy it. No, you got to make what the hell is the pot? Like, guys that scream a bunch and stuff
The
like that.
mandrakes.
Yeah, magic. Like, no, you have to make that, and that idea of like, okay, you have to plan it. It's there for half an hour. So I think as a game mechanic, they could have made it more. Sounds weird, but like realistic as a student. But I think if you want to do all, like even beasts, I was surprised they were in this game. I didn't know this, so I think if it's the stuff you want to do, the broom, even though I think the broom is, it's all right. You got the hippogriff and stuff like that. I think that it does hit all that stuff. Where other games always maybe had like one aspect of that. Even the spells, I think, is good enough. I didn't think you were gonna like it, Dylan, because the combat reminds me a lot of Arkham Asylum, like with the counter system and the gadgets and stuff. So, but I think they nail on that as far as like the dream of being in Hogwarts. So, Hogsmeade is great. I think too to walk around in and stuff. It always feels alive. So I think so.
Yeah, I think it's pretty damn close to a 10 out of 10 Harry Potter experience because like when I was playing this, it was just like, man, if I had this like back in the day when I was
Oh
going to
my
like the movie
God,
theater like to see Harry Potter for the first time, and like that was just the shit. Like I remember playing Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone on PS1, fucking god awful graphics, and just thinking that was amazing at the time,
Yes,
right? So
yeah.
it's funny how far we've come, but yeah, like the visuals of this game, like when I'm flying over like the Black Lake and just like the sunrise coming up and you got the castle there, it's just like, man, like I am in Hogwarts right now. Like this is insane. So I had that effect like basically throughout my entire playthrough. I think definitely some of the magic dissipated like the more I played it, the more hours I got into it, but yeah, like every once in a while I would just get like reminded like, man, like this is so magical, like this is totally awesome here. So yeah, I think I agree a lot with what you guys already said about like the schooling system, how initially I thought it was 10 out of 10. I'm like, man, if this is the entire game, like this is gonna be the best thing ever. And I think unfortunately like after that effect, it just felt like I was like a graduated like student. I like I wasn't doing classes anymore. I wasn't repping my Ravenclaw colors anymore. I was wearing all my like custom outfits by that point. So, which sucks, but also like I don't know, like maybe if the game is only contained to the schooling, maybe it wouldn't have been as good. I don't know. It's tough to compare to, but for the most part though, I think yeah, there is some issues that I have with the RPG elements of it, but yeah, for being a Hogwarts Wizarding World game, it definitely is there. 10 out of 10, and if not 10 out of 10, it's like pretty damn close to it. Although when I was flying around my broomstick, man, I was like, man, I like these mechanics. I want to play Quidditch right now. I was bummed. So
I think they're gonna do that the next game. This game sold a bunch. So I think they'll bake that in. Funny enough, though, they right away like, oh, the Quidditch season's done.
Yeah, they
for
had
the
a
year.
reason for it.
Yeah, right. First line you get from the professor. One of the first lines, pretty funny. So I liked that.
Before I get into my thoughts here, I'll start off with the Quidditch aspect. The broom flying mechanics, I don't mind them, but I feel like they were not refined enough. I feel like
No.
they could have been, and that's I feel like okay, like
Very wooden.
yeah, there's just something really big missing there, and I think that's one of the things too why they didn't get into the Quidditch. I feel like, you know what, I give up. I feel like that's what developers were like let's just leave the mechanics as it is and just send them on their merry way, because there's a lot of improvement that they could do with that. It's just it's super super simple.
Wait, so I don't really have any problems with the controls as they are. I think if it was Quidditch with what you have, obviously it would be very limited.
Yeah.
But I feel like it feels totally fine. I'm curious why you guys.
But I
feel
think
that
I'm
way.
with Taylor. Where if you were to say, okay, this can be in Quidditch, I think it's serviceable for this game. But if like this is what would be in Quidditch, it's like the way you turn, the way you
Yeah,
land,
you would need like a
dismount.
break and different
Yeah,
stuff like
and
that.
just even when you hit speed, you're just going like it doesn't feel, it just kind of feels boring when you're just speeding in the
Yeah.
broom. You're just.
I mean,
there.
I do like though that you can click the stick in and then just not hold the controller, and you'll just
Yeah.
go generally towards your destination if you have to go a far away.
Another thing too, and I don't know why, it's just the way the character looks on the broom too. Just feels like it's an unfinished look. Like he's just like full like attention stance, and it's just like the broom is just in between his legs. He's like, just
Where's this supposed to
That's
go?
usually where it
now,
goes.
of course, when you do the dash, and he like full on goes forward like that, like you're
Hunchback
supposed
on
to,
the
which is
floor.
great. But yeah, just this T pose.
he's
going
too
across,
he's too
like-
chill for you. Is what you're
T-pose?
saying.
He's not T-posing. I feel like your game might be bugged out, man.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
But other than that, I think that the whole world is just immaculate. I love it. Like going through the books of Harry Potter, like I feel like you can really create your own interpretation of this world, and like other different different creators that we get in the future when they tackle Hogwarts and the land of Hogsmeade and everything like that. You're gonna have different creations, the way different designs are, different kind of like areas generally speaking. But when you look at Hogwarts as it's created here, I feel like it was literally pried right out of the movie. I feel like this game is a prequel to the movies, for crying out loud. And just the way that it looks, I'm going through these certain corridors of like, oh my god, this is where Dumbledore crashed and died after being a Avada Like this is like the docks here where Snape got killed by an
R.I.P. Voldemort.
Nagini.
Snape. Yeah.
Yes. So there's just
Kill Nagini.
there's so many cool little
Stupid
spots
scene.
that I really appreciate that attention to detail. Like they watch these movies a billion times and just like, okay, they're like it's like we gotta base this off the movies. So that being said, the lands, absolutely incredible. The little villages, super fun. And like I'm with you, and the sunrises and stuff like that, Kirkland. Like remember this place because it's it's so good. An interesting thing with the dynamic in the day and night cycles. I don't know why. It's kind of humorous if it's nighttime and you go to do your mission in a class. And it's like, wait. And so you do the thing, and you sit down and wait until it's morning, and your character
Just
stands
stare the
up.
teacher down like I'm
Yeah,
ready for
like-
class.
It's just a weird kind of thing in the story. Like I don't know.
You'll be there at midnight, and the teacher's like, "I'll see you next day for class." And they're just writing, and you wait, and he's still just there. It's just like, and yeah, you just like
sit down in his
you
classroom.
sleep in the fucking class. Like it's the funniest thing. You can't sleep in your bed, but you can sleep right beside your bed on the floor. It's a weird
Yeah.
like, and even then, like I don't even think they need the day and night cycles. I don't like because most of the time it's just like you just end up doing that. You just pause, you hit R3, and that's it. It's like I feel like it was not they for the
I
most part not
disagree.
needed.
I would come back if I had to wait like that. I wouldn't break the immersion. I'd be like, well, I'm just gonna go explore or something.
Did
Come
you?
back in
You'd come
the-
back?
Yeah,
Oh,
I would.
wow,
No,
there you
absolutely.
go.
It's nice
There
that it
you
has
go.
it there because like. If you just couldn't do the quests until it was like daytime, well, I guess you could just open up the menu and switch up the day-night cycle there. But still, yeah, the first couple times it did that, I was like, I don't like this. This is weird to me. I'm just waiting in like Professor Fig's office, and then I like stand up, and he's just like standing right there waiting for me. It was too weird for me, so yeah, I started just coming back. I mean, there was a couple quests that maybe if I was like just journeyed like forever to get there, and then there's the little yellow circle, maybe I would wait in that instance. But yeah, I am bummed you couldn't sleep, but yeah, I would try to avoid the waiting.
Kirkland's character is going on 3 months of no sleep whatsoever
Yeah.
here. Just the craziest semester of all
Tough first
time.
year for me.
I love too when you like the thought of you sleeping right in the doorway to your classroom, because when you wake up, like everyone's already in the class, you're the last one to arrive, even though you were, camping out to be the first one there. So the thought of just like everyone stepping over your sleeping body as
Oh,
they
I
go
know.
to class, it's like, who is this fucking guy? It's like 2 p.m. in the afternoon, he's just sleeping on the ground.
I will say, in terms of like dressing up my character, I started off with the house robes and everything like that, but then once I started seeing all the different types of apparel, like I swapped out pretty quick. So like I'm strutting into class looking like a fucking baller. Let me just say, everyone else wearing their standard issue.
Who the hell is this?
Standard issue. Yeah. No, I want to talk about that. I feel like the customization is pretty great in this game. There's tons of different a variety of different robes and costumes and stuff like that, and I feel like I can be pretty stylish. But also the character creator, I was pretty impressed by for a game like this. One thing too is I've seen a criticism for a lot of games that have character creators like this is that just like hairstyles for black characters just never done right. Like they never go the extra mile. You just have to have a generic white person hair, and they can change the hair color black if you want. But that's pretty much as good as you're gonna get. And not that I'm the be all end all to decide whether or not they do have good representation in this game, but I was very impressed when I was going through and looking all the different like preset characters you could have, and then just going through all the hair menus and whatnot, and like it looks great. So I was really impressed by that. And then to Taylor's point, like this is maybe one of my favorite things about the game is this is a problem with so many open world games when you're getting all sorts of costumes, is that classic thing of like, okay, I want to equip the thing that has the best like rating on it, but then I look stupid, or you could use something that you prefer the look of, but then you're getting worse stats. But this game does the best of both worlds for me, where you just pick the thing that has the best stats, and then you can change the appearance to anything in your inventory or anything that you've sold. So you do not need to keep a bunch of crap in your pocket. If you're like, oh, I might want to change it into this green robe at some point. The fact that you can just change to that if you owned it at one point is fantastic. I love everything about that. I think that every game, just copy that from now on, please. Make it easier. It's more fun. I get to role play as whatever weird looking character with the snake glasses. I wear those all the time. I'm looking like a freak. I think maybe my only then criticism of that is that after 10 hours, I felt like, man, why do I have to re-equip items all the time? If if they're never gonna actually be seen on my character, can't I just like have an auto-equip button where it puts the best gear on me and then keeps my appearance? So that's a bit of a chore sometimes if I, get some new hunter gloves and they're just the ugliest things I've ever seen. I'm not gonna actually wear them, but I have to put them on, go back, change appearance back to the thing I was using before. So little minor grievance, but overall, I'm really impressed with the appearance and the way you can customize that.
It's minor, but I think when you talk about stuff that wore me in the back half of the game, that was one of these things of just getting gear and I felt way too repetitive. That's why eventually I would just bulk up, and I did a lot of Merlin strats, so I could hold a lot of gear. That's how I also got a bunch of money. I would just sell like copious amounts of gear, and I already hinted at this on Sidequest when I was on a couple weeks ago, but I'm just over gears in game now. I don't want them anymore. It's just boring, and I just don't feel like my character feels like I feel like you always find gear that's like, I don't know, 4 to 5 more powerful. Like you rarely to me find, oh, you got one that's like 30, 25. Like, oh, I feel a lot more powerful. Like I never feel like a huge difference. I still feel like there's times where I could go naked and be fine, like, and that's where that shouldn't be a thing in the game, and I think that's been a problem with a lot of games recently. So I wish they honestly would have just used it as the appearance, like just costume. Don't even make it power level. You don't got to do that, and then make a default where I'm always gonna look like this, because I'm not like Tay. I'm not looking too snazzy. I want to look like I want to look in the world. Like there's one time I walked in the school with glasses on. I felt dumb because I was like, okay, I don't fit in. I'm not in class here. So I'm always going. I have different seasons. Like when it was winter, I had the scarf. When it's more fall, I'm wearing a suit and like a Slytherin suit and stuff. But yeah, with gear, I'm over that aspect, and that got repetitive. Every once in a while, having to go sell, I'm getting too full. I got 6 new items, I got to place them all, then I got to each item individually and change. Even if there was like a default costume setting, like you said, even if I put new gear on, I go select one, and it changes your hat, eye gear, everything. Not just I got to go to every single one. And it's not that it's like you got to do it all the time, but I did enough where that's where also just like the side objectives, that repetitiveness kind of wore me of like, okay, it became a chore more than enjoying it. So,
Kirkland, how do you feel about that? Considering that you've had more hours than us, is that something that's bothered you as well?
Yeah, I think the best, or like my preferable way to go about it would have been if you could just like lock your immediate look, and then just anything that you change, it won't change like your appearance there. Because yeah, it is annoying having to swap it out and then just go transmog, essentially, whatever the term is, to just appear differently, because yeah, you're doing that quite a bit, and if you aren't, you're filling up your gear slots really quickly. I feel like it just, because I'm so like maybe like frugal, or maybe, what's the best word, like a collectionist type of mindset playing these games, I'm like picking up absolutely everything, and then any time that I come up to something where I can't pick it up, I'm like, okay, I gotta go to Hogsmeade, I gotta go like empty my bag. So for me, it was just something that I had to like stay on top of, and I was used to, I think, that management system. I had like a rotation where I wasn't fast traveling much, but I feel like if I was fast traveling anywhere, it was Hogsmeade and then the room of requirement, so I could like make potions,
Yeah.
identify items, and like those would be like my rotations. So it'd be like, okay, if I'm full here or if I need to equip some different equipment, I would just be like, okay, I gotta stop what I'm doing and then just go back to these places. So I kind of had a system in place to make it work, but just quality of life, it would have been so much better. If it was done a little bit differently there. And to just speak on like what the system is in general, it's not something I like that's brand new. I've seen it in Assassin's Creed Odyssey before. I feel like in the Division as well, they've done that where you get an item, but then you can make it look like something else just to get the numbers on your character.
Gotham Knights.
Do those
shout
games
out to
have
our
it?
review.
Do those games have it where if you sell a piece of gear, you can still equip that as appearance for it?
I'm not
I
too
don't think
sure.
so. I don't. Well, at least in Assassin's Creed, I don't think so.
Yeah.
And in Gotham, you don't sell anything. You just keep it all. There's no like gear limit. You get every single suit. So.
Because that stood out to me to being something like new and fresh. Because initially I wasn't selling stuff, but I'm like, this doesn't make sense because I have to hold on to this, but like equip the other stuff. So then, it was a pleasant surprise that you don't get rid of it. Like you can just keep that appearance. There was a couple items that I was really looking forward to like getting early on. I was bummed because I couldn't find like the first year cap. You know, the ones that they wear in like the first movie. It's just like it's basically like a sock, like a nightgown hat or something.
Right.
I couldn't find it forever until like the end game. Essentially, I was so pumped that it was in there, but I'm like, oh, I'm not even rocking like the casual robes anymore. It just it stands out to me here. But yeah, just and like the wide range of outfits was blowing my mind. And like some of the outfits in there, I feel like I was really just expecting like the basic cloak, but there's like so many different types of cloaks. There's different jackets and whatnot. So that completely blew me out of the water. And I feel like I was having so much fun just like, and again, it's not like there's like a climate system in the game where like you have to dress warm to like keep your character alive. But like if I was going on a venture, if I was going on my hippogriff, going to Hogsmeade or something, it's wintertime. I'm like throwing on my scarf. I got my goggles on. I'm totally getting immersed in that sense.
Nice.
So that was fun. And then I would just add on to like what your comments were for the character creation, for the visuals and everything. That surprised me on just how good, because I feel like so many times I'll do a character creator where even if they have tools to make your character look like a freaking supermodel or something, I feel like I just don't have the time or patience to really like use that. So right away, I just found like a nice preset that looked good. It was like, man, these characters actually look good. Like they did such a good job, and a lot of different ways that you can customize them. So I was very much impressed with all of that stuff, the visuals of the outfits as well as the character, and you can change the voice and everything. My guy was looking pretty handsome.
I felt like the voice actor. I picked the man. I felt like his voice sounded a lot like Daniel Radcliffe, like a young
So did mine.
Daniel Radcliffe, and the pitch I had for it, which I don't know, even because some of the lines he says would be like verbatim, which a character would say in the movie, and I was like, oh my god, this is like uncanny at times. How much? Maybe it's just the Britishness of it, but I noticed that a few times. But let's take our first break. We'll be right back. Okay, we are back. So, keeping it on customization, I want to talk about the room requirement a little bit here, because so far I've been very impressed with this too. You get a variety of different rooms here, and you can really go pretty ham with the customization of changing the floor, the different walls, like even like in the nook, you can change like on all three sides of that kind of thing. Putting down your different furniture, whether it's as you guys were mentioning, the potions or the plants and things like that, and eventually you get the vivarium. But yeah, I've loved that you can even change like the tone, right? You just talk to Deke and it's like, I want it to be dark and moody in here. That's what I'm rocking. And for me, it's like this kind of layer like place where I just, making some potions and stuff like that. So I've loved the customization there. That's a lot better than I was expecting. The only thing that kind of annoys me a bit is like, since everything you can change, sometimes you're walking through there and like the selector thing will just highlight like every object in the room. So I feel like I can't just get fully immersed at times. I don't know if that's only if you have one of those spells. I think it's just at all times. It just like is randomly highlighting things. So it takes away from a bit of the beauty. But I was really impressed by that. I remember seeing that in the trailers and wondering what that was going to look like. And I feel like there's still a lot to unlock. Plus there's tons of items and furniture that I see is in there, but I haven't unlocked it yet. So I'm pretty impressed with that. Have you guys spent much time building out a cool room of requirement for yourselves?
I did, but not till like like in the back half of the game. I feel like I just kind of had it initially set up, a couple things that I was using, like whether
Yeah.
it was like a potion maker or something, and then just the identifier in the room there. But then in the back half, it was probably just like, well, I don't know, let's just go spend some time in the room requirement here, and I really spent a long time just customizing everything, getting like a pretty efficient setup where I got like the T-shaped tables where it's like 3 pots for potions. So I have 2 of those set up back to back.
expensive.
So
Damn.
Like
I
6
could just have
grand.
6 Wiggenwelds right there. Well, that's where I spent all my money, was just like buying the blueprints, because I feel like those can be pretty damn expensive for some of them. But
They are, yeah. Those 3-pot ones, yeah. I think they're 3 grand by themselves.
yeah, so I got a nice system hooked up, and I won't like. As you progress further along in the game too, the room requirement kind of expands. Like you
Nice.
get a couple different things in there. So that was a nice surprise as well, because it was just like, holy shit, like how big can this room really get here? So I think it was. I think it was a success in the sense of like having an area to customize, because I feel like a lot of times if games have that, I'll think it's cool and I just won't really ever touch it. But the game gave me enough reason to want to go in there and change it
Yeah,
around.
it's quick
like,
and easy.
Yeah.
That makes a huge difference as well when you don't have to mess around and like Fallout where you have to like, I have to collect 100
Yeah.
screws to make this stupid bench. Like, it can be such a chore, but they make it
Totally.
pretty easy here where there's just one currency essentially, and then obviously you have to buy blueprints, but just the moon stones, whatever they're called, and you find them everywhere. So that makes it nice as well that you don't have to worry about all of these different fabrics and materials and all that noise.
Yeah, no, it's much like we talked about the Midnight Suns review. I don't care at all about this stuff. I never, every game, like, okay, just make me do the mission stuff. Okay, go, cool. I made it like Dylan's. I made it dark and gloomy. I'm looking like I have Joe's basement, and I got like I'm hiding someone there. Just because my character, other than a beard, looks like Joe from season 4. Right now, he has like the long hair and all this stuff. But yeah, I made it look very Slytherin. All my stuff's gothic, but I'm not adding no furniture or mirrors. It was basic stuff. There's stuff I'd rather do. I don't spend much time there other than I have to.
You
for the
got like
mission.
Malfoy Manor from Deathly Hallows Part 1.
Pretty much, yeah. Like
Just skeletons
floating
hanging on the roof.
yeah, pretty much. Deke's in there alone a lot of time, but no, and I didn't because I didn't do. I didn't even buy like the 3,000. I just bought the $1,000 one and saved my money, and then that's where I just kind of I found the mandrakes other places and stuff like that. So yeah,
What do
no,
you
I
use
don't.
your money on? Nothing? Is that why you have so much money?
Well, no.
What are you saving it for?
Well, no, because there's nothing to buy. Because
Like
like
flexes on the other students.
because what do I need to like? I have potions, but like they don't. They most of them cost other than the thunderstorm. They cost about $1,000. Most of them like 300, 400. Like gear, I find, and then I'll do like a quick buy. But I sell lots of gear. I'm not doing any of the animal stuff because I'll catch them and sell them. That's what I'll do. They're worth lots of money. So there's other than the clothes, I don't buy much stuff. You know, like get all that and potions. But potions, even if you do missions, lots of people just be like take this, and then they'll give you like 2 of each. Like okay, well I'm set for a while. Like there's one person where I did like the fast travel and they needed a invisibility potion, so I had that, so I gave them one, and they gave me one of everything else other than invisibility potion. So that's where I felt like the game almost got too easy eventually. It was just like I feel like near the back half, like I said, I'm still rocking like 15 grand right now, and I'm like I have nothing to buy. I have nothing that I need to buy anymore. So but yeah, my room, it's barren. I go there, I don't even go there to trade in the identifier stuff. I just sell it now. I just sell it because it tells you if it's stronger or weaker than your stuff. So it's like if it's weaker, why am I going to waste time and go back to my
Yeah,
room
that's
requirement and like look at it? Where I wish they would actually take that out. But yeah, so my room, I visit it very little.
Mm-hmm. Taylor, anything interesting going on in your room?
Honestly, at this point, I haven't invested a lot into the customization. I'm really only using it just to grow like my potion supplies, stuff like that. Well, I've put a couple cool things up on the walls and a couple like little like statues and stuff like that. I'm not super invested in focusing
Diggory
on
the
making it.
Third.
Yeah. I'm not super invested at this point in making it like super customized, but like I explored it and I think, okay, it's cool. Like there's a couple hallways here. There's more rooms to kind of set things up, which I like. But my room is definitely like much more brighter and kind of cheerful, I'd say. But yeah, I'm just really using it just to kind of help me with what I need at this point, like for like my quests and potion making, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I do find that I sometimes can easily just fuck up when I put things up on the wall. I'm trying to use my room requirement spells. I'll just oh fuck, I just removed some shit off the walls, and it can be a little bit tricky. But again,
Just accidentally hit Deke.
Yeah.
Very intriguing.
Oh my god. Okay, let's move into. I want to talk about some of the just RPG elements. Travis mentioned the gear, and we'll talk about that some more. But also, this game's got a skill tree in it, variety of skill trees. But bringing in a question here from Fanboy Clay, which is kind of funny. He's got kind of two parts to this, but he says, does leveling feel as useless to anyone else? Without a skill tree or something dependent on leveling, I feel as though it's just taking up UI space. And then he says, update. It took me way too long to realize I was already 60, or it took too long. I was already level 16 by the time he realized talents were a thing that were unlocked and he could use those skill points for. So, but I think I wanted to bring that up because I think that's funny, and to me kind of shows how little it seems to really affect the game, how much you're playing with these skill trees. Once again, to me, this is the same as Yellow Line-itis. This game's got skill tree-itis. It's the same thing as I critique with almost any game, so I'm a broken record at this point, but I'm pretty bored by this skill tree. I got the other things so you can get more spell slots, right? Whatever whatever that would be called. And then I maxed out stealth, which is pretty overpowered, but there's 4 skills there. And then I'm just kind of putting them into spells at this point. There's nothing else that really excites me, but I'm also at a point where I go several levels in a row without spending them, and I'm like, oh, I forgot about that. I should go spend some of these, I guess. But it's not really making a huge dent on my gameplay, but it's just one of those things where it's oh, man, I don't know. I feel like this could have very easily been worked out of this game, been implemented into quest rewards or whatever else, been more interesting. So I'm not loving it, but I know that's just a me thing also to a large extent with the skill trees. But how do you guys feel about that? And you can also talk about the gear if you want as well with that.
Yeah, with the talents, that's funny. I'm not alone. I didn't touch the talents till however many levels past the point, so I had 6 or 7 to spend when I realized that they're even there, and it was just holy shit, is this gonna make me OP now? I didn't have I feel enough spells to fully utilize at least the spell section of it, and I feel in hindsight maybe I would have distributed it a little bit differently, because I found a lot of usefulness in that just spells section, just buffing the regular spells of just having a blast radius to a certain ability or whatnot. I found that really, really useful, especially on the main rotation spells that I was using. Yeah, it was pretty shallow. I feel just in general the RPG elements, what I found to be was it's a nice idea, but they just don't fully go in that direction. So it's they show us something that just is pretty shallow. At least that was my initial thought on a lot of these things, whether it is the the leveling up system, the talents tree, and a couple other things that we'll get to. But so yeah, I think that stuff it very much was the effect of, I think Travis was mentioning earlier, where it's if this wasn't a Harry Potter RPG, it's just man, this is so lackluster of just how shallow the actual customization is of maybe spending your talent points in a meaning way, because I feel it's not really changing my character versus your character, right? If you went into stealth on your talents and I went all dark arts, I'm not a different wizard than you by any means, so pretty lackluster.
Well, and I hate to be the broken record, but I said this when this game was revealed, when they talked about Avada Kedavra. I'm man, they need that Kotar light and dark side meter. They really need that. And even, it's not the exact same, but they have an aspect of that in Midnight Suns. Again, another game that's ruined me going into this one, because even that is to a lesser degree where you unlock certain powers. So it was cool. Me and Dylan did our review. He had cards that I didn't have, and I had cards he didn't have. So it was even if you had an aspect of that, again, of just hey, now these powers, they're off. You can't get them. Sorry. And that was always my favorite thing in Kotar. Man, I want electric fingers, but I do not want to kill this innocent person. So it's what do I do here? And you had to make a choice where the skill tree doesn't have that. I think this is, for a game so good, I think this is the worst skill tree I've ever seen in my life, because it's weird that they have assignments to unlock powers, but then for the dark side powers, well, you could buy those. So it's all right, and you're already doing a side quest to get those powers. So it's weird. You gotta do a side quest to get those powers and then go and buy those powers. But the other powers don't work like that. And then some of them are like, okay, you can do a fire power. Okay, now if they're on fire, it's worth 10% damage. This isn't an exact card, but it's like that where it's like, okay, a person that's stunned, you can now do 25%. You can now do 15% more. It's just like, it's literally just, oh, that thing you did, it gets a little stronger. And just even the stealth, I didn't even bother because like I feel like the stealth, once I get the first two, it's like, I can be good enough to avoid these people. Like I didn't feel same thing like the gear. I don't think most would make a big deal. One I do really like is obviously the slot switches. The other one is like Insidio when you can shoot and then it gives a big wave of fire around you, because one of my favorite it's my go-to move is I do the pole and then I do the Incendio and then I just like that's my go-to, that's like my finisher. But like other than, and I wish there was more of that, like more variations, but I think you should also, like, because it sounded like Taylor was just enjoying being a powerful wizard, I think there should also be a thing like, hey, you got those 4 spells, you pick one of them and that's what you can be also like good at. Like once I do the Insidio blast, you can't get the extra blast for this or this or this, like, so you could really choose the wizard you're gonna be. But like I said, eventually, and that's why I think the combat got a little boring for me. Like I still like it, but it just felt like I was God mode at some points. Like with the amount of powers I had, and especially once now I have Avada Kedavra and all these ones, it's just like you could just pop off on people, you know. So yeah, gear I already spoke on. Skill tree, I thought it was very, very lackluster. They shouldn't even put it in there. Shouldn't even put it in at all, to be honest.
Yeah,
unlock it in the game.
Yeah, I almost wonder if that's what happened when I look at the stealth skill tree and it's got 4 items in there. I wonder if that's a thing where they had other stealth skills in the game, but then it's like, okay, we were able to weave those into story missions, or you unlock the invisibility spell through this quest, and so that stuff doesn't need to be on the skill tree. So then this is kind of just like what's left. But pretty much everything in there is for combat, and most of those make whatever spell it is you're upgrading hit more than one person at a time. Like that's just rinse and repeat what pretty much everything in there is. So yeah, it's not my favorite skill tree. Taylor, do you have a similar or different experience?
As soon as I unlocked it and I was able to pop talent points in there, I was doing it right away. I thought it was cool. I enjoyed, like, okay, I can have different selectable preset spells. Like instead I thought, okay, I just have like my 4 that I can assign, but no, I can have like 4 of those 4, which was nice just to kind of cycle through, because then I can stack, okay, I got like my freezing spells, I can mix that with my other like fighting spells and stuff like that. So it was cool to kind of like create, at least organize myself. Okay, like this is for my room requirement, this one's for like my exploring set, and then this is like for like a mix of both. And then being able to upgrade too, to kind of like, oh, if you do a good like Protego, and then it's like, yeah, bounces off and hits like multiple enemies. So I like those kind of different things, because then I can kind of like guide and shape my character down the path, like which way I want to kind of go with him a little bit. And eventually, like, you'll unlock everything, which is totally fine, but it doesn't need to be any more simpler than it is. Like, it's pretty damn simple, but could it be better? Absolutely. I will be very much, welcoming of a much more refined system, like you said, Travis, where it's shaped to what you want to kind of progress and excel at. I think that'd be very, very cool. So
I think that's my biggest issue with it too, because I remember even in like one of the trailers for the game, they showcase you using like a mandrake or drinking a potion to like turn stone, and like they were using the classic lines like choose what wizard you want to be by like taking like the different lessons or like being friendly with different characters to learn more, and it really seemed like you could like venture into a different path. Like I just want to be the Neville Longbottom, like be like a herbology expert who knows all of like the herbology things but doesn't know anything about curses or Imperio, anything like that. But it like I feel like I was a little bit skeptical about like how far you could get with that, but still it was a nice promise on paper. It sounded cool, and then you get into it, and like while I was playing, especially in the early stages when I didn't have all that stuff, it's like, oh, like I want to take that herbology class so that I can get the mandrakes and like and like the chomping plants. Like I want to utilize that in my combat, but you just get everything by just progressing in the game. So there isn't like, and like that main thing by like you can just kind of, like what Taylor said, like eventually you just get everything. That just deters me from like wanting to do playthroughs, which is really unfortunate, because like when I was first setting it up, I chose Ravenclaw. Oh, my next playthrough, I'm gonna do a Slytherin playthrough. Like all evil. I feel like it's gonna be the exact same thing that I
felt the
experienced
same
already.
way. Yeah.
So, yeah, unfortunate.
And I think that's the thing too. Like, when are you incorporating like the conversations or like the talk, like the skill, like what you would choose in a conversation? Does that come up later, or do you want to hit on that now, Dylan?
Go for it.
Why? Why do we have a choice? Like, and it's so weird. Like I said this to you guys in the Discord. It'll be like, oh, should we save this person? You could say, no, fuck this person. I want them to die. And then when you say like that'll be the text, right? And then when you select it, they go. I don't think we should do that quite yet. And it's just like, like the responses make it seem like you're gonna be like Draco Malfoy, and then when you actually say something, other than one time I like really mean to a kid who was like play the ball game, like, yeah, you're not really good, you should stop playing. Like, there's a few instances, but there's so many times where the story clearly makes you go in a way. And Kirkland, you've got to the end. Is there a certain like big choice that you have to do? Do your choices matter at the end of all of these conversations?
There was a couple instances when I had to Google because I was curious what was going to happen, and unfortunately, it doesn't really change like at all, which is big unfortunate.
That's where it's like it's annoying, where it just feels like some of these developers and the studios are just obsessed with, well, this is the way these games are. Just make the character the way you want. Then this whole you can create like the look, the powers, whatever. But even then, it's like if the story is going to end one way, just make them cutscenes. There's no reason why am I getting the dialogue options if they literally mean nothing. Because I thought, okay, you are going to control, and that's where me and Dylan just talked about Midnight Suns. You can control who you're better friends with. If you're more of an asshole, if you're more of a good person, you can. It's not like I think the story usually ends where it's going. But it feels like me and Dylan had different experiences. Like, oh, I did this with Blade. You did this with Captain Marvel. Where this is just, it's two options and it changes nothing. No friendships. No, oh, if you're better friends with Sebastian, he'll give you this perk or something like that. It's not. So that's the thing that frustrated me even more than having no light and dark side was this, just because it's annoying because you have to do a cutscene and then they'll go into like you having a dialogue. It's like, just throw in all cutscene. Just make it a story. You want the story to go one way, just guide us that way. Not every game has to have these fucking dialogue choices. And that I think I'm even more sick of than Gear, because they just don't mean anything nowadays. Just take them out. So really frustrated me at this. And I feel like I couldn't even be like a massive dick either, because the game doesn't want you to be a massive dick. You might be a little bit of an asshole, but if I just want to be full on like one of the bad characters of like not redeemable, you can't do that. You know, they're always like saying stuff with like a slinge of like, oh, you're still an all right person, you know.
Yeah, and like without getting too much into like a story reason, it seems like the game like sets up the foundation for you to like tread that path of like you either go down this way or this way. But like they showed us the blueprint for that, but like it's just a completely different path that you go down when you're actually adventuring, which is just really unfortunate. Yeah, so some good examples there with the dialogue, because there was a couple where like I said something, but I'm like, I didn't really like how that went, so I like reloaded my save or whatnot and did the option, and it was the exact same follow-up that like the other person said, even though I said like
crazy.
what I said was incredibly different, or at least like super assholey compared to like the other version, and they said the exact same thing, and it was just like, oh, that's like to Travis's point, why even incorporate that into the game?
You brought up a good point, because I did this another load save where I don't know if someone's done, like it's a dungeon where you find some clothes, right? And then you give these clothes to a wizard in the school who wants to see them. So there's three options: either give them, either hey, for a price, and then I'll give them to you, or hey, it's just mine. And whatever one you select, no matter what, you still have the appearance of it. So it's just like, what does it matter? It doesn't matter. And so that's why.
Okay, I just did that exact same thing literally an hour ago, so I'm confused, because I was like, yeah, sure, you can see it, but then like I wasn't wearing it and I never took it out or anything. I was so confused by the interaction. Like I never actually showed her the clothing that she wanted
It's
to
just
see.
yeah, but I think it's in your
it's implied.
appearance. If you go to your appearances, it's one of the capes or something. You can do it.
I know, but I didn't, is what I'm saying. Like I did not put it on. So I'm like, well, she never actually saw this thing, but she's like,
oh
happy
yeah.
with it. Yeah,
that I can't explain for you. That I don't know. That's a weird choice, but that's where it's like even.
And then
at
she's
that
like,
point,
"You're my second favorite person in the world." I'm like, "Oh my god, I just changed this person's life."
Just big fan.
But that's why the rest of the game I just chose. Usually I would choose to like, hey, I'll give it to you, but for a cost, because it would change nothing. It wouldn't change me being an asshole, and I get to keep the thing and money. Why wouldn't I pick that every time? Why would I just nicely say, "Oh, here you go, you can have it when I can get it"? And that's maybe I have so much money, but it's like
That's true. Yeah,
it didn't give. There was no like
Exploiting
push and pull.
students.
There was no kind of just I don't know what would be the right word, punishment for your choices. You know, so.
Yeah, and like I think a big reason why it didn't hit me or it didn't bother me too much in those moments, other than just like when I would reload the save and experience the other side of it, just being like, well, that's ridiculous. It's the
Yeah.
exact same reasoning. Was because on this particular playthrough, you know, my character being Ravenclaw and just being a good soul, helping everybody out, not ripping people off, taking money to look at some robes or anything like that. I feel like the trajectory that the story took me was fitting for like what my playthrough wanted, like what I would have wanted to go with my choices. So that all worked out. But now it's just like, okay, I went on this fantastic adventure. I had so much fun. But it's just like I don't really have a reason to go back to it, which is super unfortunate because you know, Dylan, your point, 5 hours in, I was like, man, this is the greatest game I've ever played in my life. Like, I'll probably never stop playing this game ever. Like, I'll probably get every single unlockable, just play this until my PlayStation dies or something. But now here I am 30 hours later, and it's just like no real reason to go back. It's so unfortunate. And I think that's like the main theme of my review is just like they showed us a glimpse of greatness, but it's just when you went behind that curtain, it's just so shallow and like not really fully fleshed out there, which is just unfortunate.
Yeah, that would have been interesting because you know that's a very common thing. To Travis's point of the like I don't know, Elder Scrolls has this or Fallout where it's like whenever you do that kind of situation where you ask for money in exchange for or like more money, it's always just like a skill check based on your speech stat or whatever the game's equivalent is. So it's interesting that like in this game, like why not always ask for that? There's literally no consequence whatsoever, and you will always succeed. It sounds like so. There's no reason not to. So that is kind of a weird thing. Where I feel like the reason they throw it in there is just to make the game seem more expansive than it is, I guess. And that's where for me that comes down like all of the open world stuff where I go to some different towns and I spend like 15 seconds there, and then I'm like, okay, well I guess that was all this town had to offer me. That's kind of in my experience a lot of the time in terms of exploring the greater open world. Like, I don't know, even in all the towns, I go up to there's like usually a merchant or two and I talk to them. I think it's cool that they have like a name and they'll introduce themselves and tell you a bit about themselves. Most game would just have like merchant, you know, and you just talk to them. But then like all of their items are dog shit. Like I've never needed to buy anything. It's not like, oh, this guy has a cool, unique furniture that's like based on the town that he lives in or something like that. It's just like, I guess I could buy this like flum gloop like ball or whatever and like have one more of those in my pocket. But that's just, it's kind of an unfortunate situation, which leads me into wanting to bring this point up from Superbad Mike. Discord. I got these questions from the Discord, so make sure to join the Discord to get questions in. I said, liking the game a lot overall, especially as a longtime HP fan. Curious on what you guys think about my biggest complaint with the game: the huge list of open world collectibles and busy work tasks. Was it too much for you? Also, how much of the game took place? Also, did you like how much of the game took place in the larger open world, or would you have preferred a bit more of a focus on Hogwarts itself? So we've talked about some of these things already, and I think I want to talk about the one exception to me that you guys already brought up was Hogsmeade is fantastic. I love that place, and obviously that's a very important place in the movies and stuff. That is a town that you want to get right, and there is all sorts of different merchants there, different houses you can go to. There's like events that'll be going on and stuff. But also, I just love the vibe, whether it's like peaceful daytime and people are playing in the street and doing stuff, or it's nighttime and it's kind of like the lights, there's like gloominess to it, but there's still like music going on, like this liveliness to it. And your character says that every time you enter Hogsmeade, he's like, is there not a place more cozy in the whole wide world, or whatever the fuck the line is. He says it 100% of the time you enter the town. But then I'm also like, you know what? I do feel like that. That is exactly what I'm feeling in this moment. So I think Hogsmeade for me is the one exception. But yeah, for me, like it's hard to say. You know, if they cut the size of the open world in half, what would that have meant for how in-depth Hogwarts is? You know, it's hard for me to like look at it that way and say like which would I have preferred, because I think it is nice to have some open world, and I like that you can walk all the way to Hogsmeade. That's a very short walk, but go to some other towns, go down to like where Hagrid's hut is. It's not Hagrid's hut because he's not there yet. Things like this. So it's nice to have some area, but for the most part, I'm pretty unintrigued by the greater open world. And yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, you know, whenever you pass a Merlin trial, you know, it's always that thing. It's like, okay, I should do this because it's like objectively good for my character, but like I really don't want to do this, especially when I've done 7 or 8 of them, and it's like, okay, I'm starting to see the same puzzle again, and it's like, okay, I guess there's just 4 or 5 puzzles that are regurgitated over here, and then there's just, as Kirkland said, 90 of them. Like there's so much of this, so I'm like, I don't know. I just am so uninterested, especially like even for that. I'm good with like gear now. Now that I know I can sell stuff and still have that appearance, I don't really need to keep any of this stuff. I might as well sell it all. So what does this even do for me? So I guess to me it does feel like too much, and I would have, as I mentioned, preferred more of the focus to have been on Hogwarts and some of the RPG systems of being a student. And like just a little thing for me, I don't feel like I have a friend in this game, and I would have loved if I could just talk to people. Like I can walk around Hogwarts and I see people that I had in my class that might be doing something in Hogwarts, sitting on a bench or whatever they're doing. I wish I could just talk to them and have conversations, and just see what's going on, whether it's a quest or not. Sometimes they do have a quest and you can talk to them, but most of the time they're just like doing nothing. But I would love if you could bring a friend along to go explore the open world. I think that would to me add a lot with the exploration, where you could have these conversations. And yeah, it was especially strange because the two, it seems to me like main student characters, Sebastian and Natty, are from, I think, Gryffindor and Slytherin respectively. But yeah, like, so you get into your house at the start of the game, and I met like 3 different Hufflepuff people. I'm like, okay, these are kind of quirky characters, and I think I've talked to each of them maybe once. One of them I don't think I've ever seen again in my whole life. I'm like, what's going on here? Like,
me.
I feel like I'm supposed to be part of this house, and I want some camaraderie. So I say all this to go back to the open world thing of like, yeah, I think I would have preferred a smaller scale thing where you can still have some open world, but really I wanted the Hogwarts experience to be a bit more expansive in terms of the gameplay systems, not necessarily the size. I think I'm pretty fine with how big it is. It's a great size there, but yeah, how about you guys in terms of Superman Mike's question in terms of the greater open world?
I just like that last part on the friendship aspect of it. I feel like that's something that honestly is major disappointment for me, because like now that I am in the end game, the end game content is so lacking, whereas like if I was able to like my friends that I've met like throughout my adventure, I met those 3 Ravenclaw that I've probably never seen again, maybe on like 1 or 2 minor quests, but like really not ever like since then. But even the ones that you do quests with, like I was looking forward to, especially because you experience them, I think, in some point in the main story, and then you have like these relationship quests with them where it's more just like focused on their story or whatnot. And like I was intrigued by them because it's like, oh, it's cool that I can actually like do quests with these characters, and on those quests it's really awesome because they like follow you and they talk with you, and it's like, man, this is like a follower system. Like this better be something that once I'm done their quest line, I can just like take them with me on these adventures and just like chat with them and just make the world feel alive. Spoiler alert, sorry guys, you can't actually do that, which is like major disappointment for me. I was so looking forward to even if I'm not like going on this like really thought out story quest or something with these characters, like I can't even just go explore Hogsmeade with them or something. And there's characters that at one point they're like, oh yeah, once this is all done, we should go get a butterbeer at Hogsmeade, and that'll never happen because they're probably some NPC wandering Hogwarts or just not even in the game anymore, which is just,
Don't recognize you when you walk by.
it's so disappointing because like I was sad to like finish those quest lines because I'm like, I'm never gonna see these characters again. Like that's just so depressing to me. And I thought the friendship aspect was another thing that, because I've already mentioned, like they showed you a good way that it can be done. Like I thought just hanging out with, like I thought the characters were awesome. I thought they were really cool characters, but like I can't interact with them anymore because I finished the game. Like that's just such a robbery in my opinion. So yeah, that little mini rant over. That was like a big negative I was coming into the review on. So you beat me to the punch there, Dylan. But getting back to like the greater world and everything, I think initially it's a reoccurring theme on the podcast. Initially, I thought just the expansiveness of the world just blew me away. Like I think every little area that I discovered, I would just spend some time like wandering around and checking out, and just feeling in that wizardry world was a really cool feeling. But yeah, it definitely got repetitive in the sense where if I would come to a new village that on the surface it looked really cool, I would walk around. I would do the exact same thing Dylan said. I would go talk to the shopkeeper or whatnot, and they got the same bullshit that the other townie had for sale from his wares. So it was just like a recurring thing where it's like, hey, if there's no side quests here or if I have nothing to sell, like I'm not spending any time in these little villages, which some of them like they looked really cool, like they were designed well. It's just there wasn't much to do in them other than
You just
like
walk into people's house, steal $5 off their table when they're standing in front of you, and then leave. I thought it was so weird that you could just go and take money off their kitchen table when they're standing there. They do not care.
You're picking the lock of their houses and stuff like that too. Like it's just
One time I picked a lock, and then there was like a guy sitting on his bed, and he like no comment whatsoever. He's like, it's a regular occurrence in the wizarding world. I
Just
guess.
some old gem who can't do anything while you take his credit, just sitting.
Yeah,
there.
and I'm like throwing spells around in his house, and he's like, all right,
Just
whenever you're
fucking
done.
everything up.
He's like,
What else
I'll
you got
restock
for your
this chest
wares?
for you. Come back in 10 hours and come get more stuff from me.
God. And then the last thing I'll say, just comparing it to like the castle, I think the exploring of the castle was 100% more intriguing to me. The castle overall just looked so gorgeous, but it was another one of those things where I'm like, I wish it was a little bit bigger. And like maybe it's just me being a little bit whatever spoiled, I guess, because I have this like beautiful Hogwarts, and then the initial 5 hours it was like I'm never going to explore this entire castle. This is fantastic. And then where I am now, it's just like I feel like I do know where everything is. The collectibles in the castle itself were also a lot more engaging than like what the 92 Merlin trials were or whatever, like across the
there's some
world.
good puzzles in there.
So yeah, like
But also
with
it's like
the keys, I was really seeking those out.
It's like I think I've been in the dining hall once.
Yeah.
That should not be the case, man. I should be there every day. I should have to, like that'd be great. Just like have a conversation with a random character over a meal. Like even Fire Emblem does that, and it's like basic as fuck, but it's like at
Still
least
old man
smuggled
Corcoran's
in.
Mum's a
money.
witch.
No, I'm pretty much in line with what Dylan said. I'll just pimp out again. You know, Kirkland, you're looking for that friendship. I know you got Midnight Suns. Keep playing it. You'll get what your heart desires. there.
Venom's
Done
coming this week.
I rolled credits.
Kirkland,
Yeah.
you got Venom this week. He's coming.
You rolled
Ooh.
credits on Midnight Suns?
No, on this. So
Okay,
I can put this down. Finish Dark Messiah. I
That's
got a
a
list
game.
of games.
That's a game
I'm
you can
finishing games
complete.
this year, guys.
That's a game. You
I'm
can
proud of you.
complete
I'm
it,
proud
and
of you.
your friends are still around after. But
You finished Arcs, which is a very hard game to finish. So I'm proud of you. I'm proud of
there
you.
we go.
Thank you, Dylan.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with the big open world. I just think there was more. I wish there was more to do at Hogwarts mission wise, or like I said, if they made thing like to me, like I said already earlier, don't make it that you can buy the potions, this and that. Make it that you really have to go to the school and do these things, so you have a reason to be there. But for myself, it was a lot of money. I never have to go back because I can just buy it all. And I guess, like I said, I appreciate that for my time now, but it breaks the immersion a little bit when I'm a 5th-year student and I'm just like rolling in the fucking deep here with money. So yeah, Hogwarts. Yeah, I don't need it like shortened or smaller. Just maybe that expanded more on and more to do there, more missions, stuff like that. And then what was the other thing what was the other part of it? I can't remember.
Open world, friendships,
friendships,
Hogwarts exploration, Hogsmeade.
Yeah, no, I think I touched upon that. The friendship, yeah, same thing. Could have been better. I wish there was some sort of meter and everything like that. So, no, I think I've hit on some of these points in other topics, but yeah, for the most part, there's something a little lacking there. Even though the school is great, I think it is that thing when you explore for the first few hours, you're like, "Wow, this is so good." Even though the map is awful, I hate the map of the school. And you zoom in, and it's just like you click the flag, and it gives all these awful. So
I feel like I've gotten used to it, but it is a
I'm used
thing
to
to
it.
get
But it's
used
just the layout. Ugh.
Taylor, you said you like going around to the different towns. Is that just more for the visual aspect, or are you just like role playing and you're like having fake conversations with these people, or is there something we're missing? I'm
like
curious.
in retrospective, when you guys have mentioned all of these different things, it is very lackluster. You just go into a house, Alohomora a couple things, just swipe coins off the table. Like it definitely is justified in how it is very bare bones. So I wish that they would kind of add more to that, but unfortunately, the towns or the villages are pretty much all the same, and there's a few people that might need help. You have to go and like take out some of the goblins nearby, or take out some spiders or something like that, and that's pretty much it. Or go explore an area, and then a plethora of Merlin tasks all around. But for the most part, I like getting on the broom. I like flying. I like going to the different parts of the map. Like when I first saw the map like unlocked and I was moving around, I was like, holy shit, I thought we were gonna get the Dark Forest, Hogsmeade, and Hogwarts. And when I zoomed out, I thought, this is incredible. We got this whole area. Flying out from where Hogwarts is and just flying over Hogsmeade Station. Like I love the detail in Hogsmeade Station is actually pretty cool. I really, really like that. It's really, really neat. But yeah, it's like, or kind of like a reskin. One area, one village is kind of like another in that sense. Hogsmeade, like you mentioned earlier, Dylan, is very, very unique. I really like it. Honeydukes, that's just like super, super cool, especially getting to like take the secret passage and go into like Honeyduke's cellar or whatever. It's called
Right.
Honeydukes, right? Or is it like a different candy name? What's it called?
I think you got it.
I think it's Honeydukes. Yeah, okay.
I think so.
That's right.
Yeah, so those little like attention to detail kind of things, and the little more intricate things of being in Hogsmeade, I would say, like you go behind the broom shop and there's like a Slytherin kid like trying to wrangle his fucking broom and all that, which is pretty cool. So there's a lot of really interesting things going on. What's up?
There was one thing you just reminded me of. I was gonna ask you guys because I don't know if you had any intruders in your guys' common room, but there was one time I was just walking through Ravenclaw common room, you know, chilling, seeing a lot of blue cloaks. I look over, there's just a random Gryffindor student wearing a Gryffindor cloak, just sitting on the couch eating like some sweets, and I'm like, you're not supposed to be here.
He's having a good
Let me
time
guess, you
with
couldn't go up and talk to him and ask him.
Absolutely not. Yeah, no, I was hoping it was some weird story element, but no.
just
I
shake
think
my
it was just a
boyfriend a
bug.
minute ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
He has like a huge beard. It's like, who the fuck is this?
They're just
Hagrid
eating the
Jr.
sweets, doing the same animation that all the other ones are doing.
That's fine.
Oh yeah, you can just just as I'm swiping up coins in people's houses, I'm just going through eating macadamia nuts, like cupcakes. Like your character just throws it down.
I didn't know that the storylines end the way they do with some of these characters like Sebastian and all of them. So that's interesting because everything that's going on with Sebastian, I love it. I feel like seeing a different light to some of these Slytherin characters, I really, really enjoy. And then seeing like the classic like piece of shit Slytherin, it's like, oh, fuck you. I'm going to beat your ass at
Yeah, there's the one guy that's like pretty much like Malfoy. Hey, I forget what his name is, but
Ominous.
Ominous, yeah.
Yeah.
The
that
No, there's
changed.
another-
boy.
no, there's another one too. Just like in a classroom. I think it was in the Beasts class, and he was just like picking on animals or something like that.
Oh yeah, he was trying to like whip the whiskers out of that
Yeah.
creature, and
Oh,
I actually got a kick out of that because in the dialogue, the girl Poppy goes up and is like, "Oh, like you shouldn't do that," and he's like, "Oh, "You should do that," and then your character comes up. That's not funny. So good.
Got the
Yeah.
wasp.
And of course, your
accent
character's
going
like a god, so everyone's just like, okay, man, I'm sorry. Like they just respect your
Yeah.
authority.
on. He robs people's homes. We don't want to mess with him.
I don't want to fight you, Brock.
Yeah.
To take this to somewhere at least positive for me, I think for me, one of the like I really do like what is there for the classes, and I just wanted it to be expanded. Like usually the first time you attend a class, there's a more of an involved cutscene where you get introduced to what's going on there, and you know certain characters are like bickering and stuff, and you're introduced to the professor, and then you'll do some little tasks which are usually pretty simple, but they're totally fine. And then a couple times when you go back to certain classrooms, it'll kind of be like a montage sequence. Like it'll, have 3 or 4 cuts of like what you were doing in that class, which I get it. Like rather than having a bunch of random mini games that you have to go and do, I think that's totally fine. But then I think the element that I really enjoyed was the assignments that are given to you by the professors. I think this makes sense from like a story perspective where your character's backstory very much not described. And I feel like Kirkland, do you ever get more information on just like what's going on with your character outside of like the ancient magic storyline, but just like anything?
Like, why are they only 5th year? Like they never.
Or like,
really
why are they
give us
such a
that.
god at magic the first time
Yeah.
they ever cast a spell? And I don't know. I just have so many, like, who are their family? I have so many
Yeah,
questions.
no, the family question, that was something I was waiting for the entire game, and no, it's like you were just spawned into existence or something.
Yeah, you're like you're like a 3D printed character.
Yeah.
But yeah, the professor quests. And Travis, I think you might not agree with me because you mentioned the one with the potion, but that was actually one of my favorite quests in the game so far, was when I just had to use a Thunderweld potion. And I really like that because, one, it's it's not like you just go to, they don't just like give it to you and you go to some certain enemy camp and like use this potion and then boom, the quest over, like most quests are in the game. But instead it was like, okay, first I have to get one of these. I did not have very much money at this time. I think I had 1,000, so I could have bought one, but I'm like, that's going to put me down to like $10. Like there's no way I'm going to spend that. So instead I bought the recipe, and then it took me like, I think an hour or two of just questing and trying to find like the ingredients I needed to actually make this thing, and then going back to my room requirement, putting this potion together, and then it like takes 10 minutes. So I went out, did some other quests, came back, got my potion, and then just went out and found some random enemy encounter, used this potion to like complete this quest. And I thought that was cool because it was like really teaching you how to use this thing in a way that was engaging rather than just like, okay, here's this new ability you're given, hit this button to do it, boom, the quest is over. And I think for a lot of the professor assignments, they're less forced into certain interactions where it's not like, don't go to this dungeon,
Yeah.
clear this enemy camp, go home. It's just like use this certain tool, and you can really just like oftentimes it's like use this spell and you can just do it like in the teacher's room and then you're done. But you could also just like, okay, I got this new spell, I want to go try this out on an enemy and like a battle encounter and stuff like that. So I just found them to be a bit more engaging because they weren't just as like go to point A, take out enemies, grab the required item, go back to home. It was more free flowing, and I felt like it was actually a really good way to like teach the player how to do certain things. So those have been my highlights so far, and just attending the classes in general. I just want more of it because I do really enjoy that element. The teachers are great. Whatever name, Madame Garlic, I got a little bit of a crush on her. I think she's pretty great. But like, yeah, there's some good professors and stuff, and I like those interactions.
Yeah, that was I honestly probably peak for me was like doing the classes and the assignments, and that was very much like it's fairly early on in the game when you are doing that stuff. Like in that moment, I'm like, I don't ever want these assignments to run out. I don't ever want these classes to end. Like these are just so fun, and like thinking about what the next class is gonna be. I was like, I think initially I was a little bit disappointed with just like the montage classes because I was just like looking forward to like what
That's fair.
what
Yeah.
my next task is, but. You brought up a good point. Like
Better
you
than nothing,
understand,
right?
yeah, exactly. You understand why it is there, but with the assignments, I feel like it kind of trained me for like the way I was treating quests in general, like throughout the game, because I feel like I always knew kind of what my task was. Like so, like if I was doing a mission, I don't know, clearing out some loyalists or something, I'm thinking about like, okay, I got to practice using this ability or like the Thunder Brew potion, like you said. So if I'm going to that destination, I got to make sure I have the supplies so that I can actually like perform those tasks. So that I feel like I was always kind of thinking about that stuff because of the assignments for the rest of the game. So I was really like always like conscious of like what I had to do in those moments, and it made just like the multitasking aspect. And like I already mentioned, I had some like routines down where I'd go like room requirement, Hogsmeade, and then like go out on my quest, and I just had these like systems in place, which it made it just really like
Making your own
flow well.
schedule. That's
Yeah,
cool.
essentially. And it was, I don't know, it was really fun for me for just tackling the way that I was doing assignments, and then it transitioned for the entire game. But yeah, 100%. That was the highlight for me, was doing those assignments and just meeting the different professors and all that stuff. That was, I mean, that's Hogwarts, right? Like that's the Harry Potter wizarding world aspect up to it. So yeah, I had so much fun with that stuff.
Yeah, no, I think I spoke to it earlier. Like, maybe it was easy to acquire that stuff, but I like the assignments to get them, and I still wish some of the other. I wish they almost just did that with all the other skill tree stuff. You know, like give you more assignments, and everything that was an upgrade was you'd have to do an assignment for it. So I would have preferred it that way. So I like it. That's the most you feel like a student. You know, that's the most you get to talk to the teachers. Yeah, the montage is a little meh, but yeah, I think you could have expanded on that more. So the stuff that was in there I liked, and yeah, could use more.
I don't know if it was set up as like a different semester, but I think they paced it well too, where you do a few potions classes, a few herbology classes, and like, yeah, I'm like, I think it was just a little bit ago. So around 15, 16, 17 hours into the game, I did like the first astronomy class. Like they kind of pace it too. And I don't know how many more I have to do, but that's kind of an exciting prospect that there's maybe more classes to do on the horizon. I think I've probably done most of them at this point, but who knows? Maybe there's some other surprises there. Taylor, any comments on that element?
Yeah, I'm enjoying the classes. Well, I'm definitely not big on like the whole potions thing, and I think that's just because like if I was in Hogwarts, I wouldn't be into potions at all. I'd just be like, give me defense against the dark arts, give me like broom training and all that kind of stuff. But like some of the other things, like the beasts and stuff like that, I like that. So it's fun to kind of get, and again, learning how to do different spells in like relation to different not potions, different classes I like, and the basic introductions. But for me, it's cool because it feels like I'm getting to really kind of like connect with, okay, like if I was in the school, like, yeah, this is what I would like to do, and I like doing this, and that kind of like sticks with me throughout the journey, like moving forward, and what I kind of like steer towards, which I really like. So I think that it's cool that they trickle these different classes, because it does kind of help shape your, I mean, your journey is your journey. You're gonna play it your way for the most part, but you're gonna get to that same conclusion in the story mission no matter what. But still, it helps kind of like give more of a personalized feeling of how you want to play. And then getting the other assignments afterwards is just kind of funny. Like, yeah, do like drink 3 potions and Bob's your uncle. So.
Let's take another quick break, and we'll be right back. Okay, we are back. I wanted to bring another question in from Super Ben Mike, who says, I was also a tiny bit disappointed that apart from a few neat things, like which common room you have access to, your house choice ultimately doesn't seem to affect much other than the color of your school-related gear, unless I'm missing something later in the game. So this is where I want to hear from the other houses and see what our differences is. So obviously me and Taylor had, I think, was it Gregory Diggory? Is that his name? Or is that just like sound nice to say? So now I'm saying it in my head. I forget what his first name was.
I don't remember the
Patrick.
first name. Patrick Diggory?
Or what, for your character, or for who were you talking about?
For the,
Yeah,
the
the
painting.
painting.
The painting
Oh,
that...
right, yeah.
Who did you guys have for that?
I didn't have a painting actually. There's like just a raven on the wall or something. You have to like do
Oh.
a riddle to get in. So yeah, I was curious what you
Interesting.
guys were. And the only common room that I couldn't find was the Hufflepuff one. So I was curious. I could find the windows, like the Hobbit hole windows, but I couldn't find the entrance. So I was curious where that is.
It's
Oh,
in
can you go into the... Can you go into the other houses?
You can't go in,
rooms?
but you can go to the door. Like I've been to the
I
Gryffindor one and the Slytherin one. But
Oh, is there like one of those like scrolls that you can...
yeah,
yeah, okay,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, mine's like Kirkland, where it's like a mermaid pond. That's what it is to get in.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, so her, you mean like that's that? How do you get into your common room? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. If there's a painting, then I have no idea.
No, okay, yeah. So to get into the Hufflepuff house, you like it's in the cellar, like the wine cellar. I don't know. It's probably not wine, but it's a cellar, and then you like tap, and you go in. But for that quest, and it's hard to nail exactly what the quest is, but like the one where we're talking to Cedric Diggory's uncle, whatever it is, and he helps you locate the other painting people in the main quest. You know, like the people who are also had access to ancient magic. I'm trying to nail this down. Like, did you
I
guys
don't
ever
remember
talk
that
to
at
a
all.
painting in your common room for a quest?
I don't.
He
think
sends
so.
you to see like the woman that takes you to Azkaban. I'm pretty sure, right?
To
Which
ask about.
I read it.
Never
Yeah,
been
I read
there.
an article that
Apparently,
that's only
houses
Hufflepuff
are have
thing.
a different story. Yeah.
You didn't
Yeah,
go.
so I think there is some
Oh.
differences, and that's what that was. I read that in an article that Hufflepuff is the only one that goes to Azkaban, which is a very quick sequence. Like you're teleported inside of Azkaban, and you get like a quick shot of the outside. Then you can.
Aw,
I
damn.
didn't explore much, Taylor. I pretty much just walked down the hall, talked to the lady, and then left. But I should, in
That's-
hindsight, I should have like. I doubt there's much you can do exploration wise, but
Yeah, it didn't look like you could really do much. Like the Dementors were cool. I didn't expect to see them that early on. I was like, holy fuck, these things are scary. But like,
yeah, they're coming in to mess you up, and the professor's like just pops off of the.
Oh
Patronus
yeah,
and
they just kind of like saunder above you, but yeah, then you have like the people, like the prisoners, saying like weird shit and like doing weird stuff. Like I still haven't seen what happened to that professor that like disapparates and gets you out of there, but because she got fucked up by like the
That's
lady,
true, yeah, I haven't
pulls
seen
her
her
into
dead.
the jail cell. So that's really interesting. You guys didn't even get
I
that.
just-
Gonna have to
chose the
YouTube
wrong
that,
house, yeah.
Yeah, apparently.
I'm trying to, I'm trying to figure out what you guys did instead for that quest because it was a main quest. Like it wasn't some random side mission.
It just doesn't sound familiar at all. Like
I know because you had a different quest, so I'm trying to
Yeah.
figure out. I want to know what the quest you did was, but I can't remember
Yeah.
exactly what point in the story it was. But yeah, so I get there is some differences in that way. That felt kind of like a one-off mission, and then you get the house or the common room, and the robes and stuff. So it seems like there is a few things, but I think to our point earlier, not enough for me to really justify another playthrough. Like I'm curious what that other quest would be, but that's something I would go on YouTube and try and find what the name of that quest is, and then we'll watch like the different house versions for what that is. Kirkland, what is the Ravenclaw house, common room like? What's the vibe in there?
It's very like aristocratic. Maybe it's like the right way to just put it, because Ravenclaw's very like intelligent. I think so. Like you're up in a tower. It's very blue. There's some nice like empty guards or whatever that are like preventing you from going to an upstairs, just because I think that's the out of bounds area.
Oh yeah, I was wondering that too. Taylor, there's the staircase in the Hufflepuff common room. When you walk up the stairs like turn into a slide and kick you back down. I assume that was something you would unlock later in the game. I have not unlocked that yet. But at Kirkland, it sounds like a similar thing's happened to you, where you're just like being kicked out of this thing. So maybe it just doesn't happen. That'd be kind of weird. It's supposed to be just more rooms, I guess, and there's no reason for you to go up there. Why not just let you? That's strange.
Yeah, very strange. But yeah, like overall, I like the common room. I think I was just a little bit disappointed with like the lack of like things you can do and like what you can kind of interact in there. There's like the bathroom, there's your room, but like there's really nothing you can even do there. Even your owl that has your mail, like it's just kind of.
Oh yeah, I forgot I had an owl.
Yeah,
yeah,
like
it's
you can
disappointing
access
to
it.
pick your animal. I thought that was gonna be a thing, but
But like you don't really interact with it because you can just check your mail at like on.
Yeah,
your
I've never gone back to my common room. Why would I ever? I sleep on the ground. Like I'm.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
yeah.
Okay, and then I really want to know what those other quests are now. I'll have to try and.
I want to see
figure
what
that out.
Dementor looks like. I was waiting for the entire game to see one, so I was disappointed.
Yeah. So did you guys go to an iconic location at some point that was outside of the map? Like fast travel to some random point? I'm really trying to figure this
Not
out.
that I recall, no. Other than the beginning of the game when you're at Gringotts, but also that everybody plays that, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't recall being taken to an iconic spot.
That's so weird.
You sound
And
so
you guys are
defeated right now.
Are you guys sure it's like
feel
a
defeated.
main quest though, and it's not like a side
Oh,
quest?
it totally was.
Because it's related to the ancient magic, right? Because that, yeah, it is related to that storyline.
Okay. Yeah. No.
Interesting.
No.
Well, a kind of related thing. Last question here from Fanboy Clay as well. We've seen that in the Wizarding World, generations of families have attended Hogwarts. Did seeing Weasley take you out of the game at all, or was it needed to help players attach to something familiar? So I feel like there is, like, obviously the one that we have, Taylor, for Hufflepuff House. We have that tie. There's Professor Weasley and stuff like that. None of it ever took me out of the world. I don't think it also really added too much. Like, that, obviously, there is some that I'll recognize. Like, obviously, I recognize the name Weasley, but I also feel like there's a ton that are going over my head. And if I was a super fan and read the books and was reading up the encyclopedias and all this stuff, I would know more of these things and maybe would have more meaning. But I still, like, had enough of a good time going around and, like, you know, you hit your Revelio a million times in this game. Taylor sent us a meme of that. But, like, whenever you get a quick description for whatever random statue, or, you know, you see the Goblet of Fire at one point, you can get that little dialogue. Like, to me, those are fun little nods. Nothing really felt like it was forced. So yeah, I don't think it took me out at all. But you guys have any thoughts on that? Do you wish there was more or less, or are you happy with what they had in terms of the ties to the characters that we know and love from the other stories?
Well, and the headmaster's a black too, so related to
Right.
Sirius down the line, stuff like that. No, I thought it was the right amount because at the school it's just Weasley and Black, and there's probably other characters, but those are some of the like big main ones. So I feel like that fits for this is a long. Like I remember when Emily started playing, she's like, "Man, this is actually like really far from the book." So it's like at that point, I think it's just like it makes you feel like it's in the world, so it kind of adds to it. But it's not like the Hobbit thing where it's like, "Oh, there's a man in the forest, Strider. You should go look at it." Like they never at any point Weasley's like, "I hope I have a great grandson that comes here and is very important." Like there's nothing like that. They're just like characters that happen to have the name. So I think it was good for world building for me. It worked.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was a perfect amount because especially those names, like those are prominent wizarding names in the even like the Harry Potter world. You know, there's plenty of Weasleys. We've seen the big family tree for the Black family. So I really liked seeing that in there. I had to like keep not keep checking. Initially, I forgot like what the distance from was the movies. I knew it was beforehand, but yeah, it's like hundreds or so years. It's like
100 years, eh?
Oh yeah, something like that.
1900, I think, like early on there. So, yeah, I thought it was really, really cool. And then just speaking to kind of like the what are they even called? Like the pages, the Revelio things that would give you the description.
Oh yeah, the guide pages,
field
right?
pages or something
Field
like that.
pages, yeah.
I loved all that stuff. I like pretty much only was able to like find a lot in the castle. I feel like if it was out in the world, I wasn't going around the forest just Revelio and everything. But I was trying to get pretty much everything in the castle. I was doing my rounds for sure, but I was never able to find the Hufflepuff entrance. So I'll take your guys' advice and
It's
go
down
and
in
go
a
look
dingy
there.
basement.
In the dingy basement. Yeah, okay. Good to know. But yeah, I loved all that stuff because it's similar to me for like when we were playing like Spider-Man, the PS4, getting like the backpacks, and it would just be like a little bit of like a backstory on this object that like fits into the world, and I loved all that stuff. Yeah, finding like the Goblet of Fire, that was really cool. Just like really everything, like the prefect's bathroom, all of these little things that like that's what they are. Like they are small in the Harry Potter world, but it just adds to that world building and feeling like you're immersed in this world, and I loved all that stuff.
Kirkland, actually, quick question. In Shay's game, because she's Gryffindor, is that how is the common room? Is it pretty like 1-to-1 with the movie, or did they go a different style with it?
She only played until you like get into it, and then you're in like the room area, and then she quit. So I saw like the fat lady is the same, and
Okay.
I don't think we've ever seen the inside of the female dormitory before, so that looked new to me.
Right.
I imagine it looks pretty similar because I feel like with some movie tie-in things, like they do try to keep it similar. Like the prefect's bathroom, it looked pretty similar to me than what the movie was. So I am curious, so I'll update you of that.
Interesting. Okay, moving along. What else is there to talk about? I guess we should talk about maybe the combat a little bit more. We've mentioned this in passing, but I think this is a weird one for me because when I look at it on paper, I feel like it should be pretty engaging for me because you got your basic attacks and you have your different spell types that are pretty fun in terms of what they do, right? They're flinging enemies around, throwing them up in the air, slamming them down, freezing them, things like that. Of course, you got your shield and your parry because of that. There's throwable environment objects all over the place, explosive barrels or otherwise, and then like potions and plants. Like there is a lot going on. I guess for me, it just feels like way too easy. I think I'm playing on normal, and I could bump it up, but I don't know if that will make a difference because I feel like I'm guessing the difficulty just changes like damage amounts and HP numbers rather than changing like the complexity of the fights. Maybe I should check it out or something, but
it just feels like that. That's what
yeah,
I'd
I don't
say.
really want the fights to be longer than they are right now, so that's why I haven't gone to change it. But to me, it just feels like I don't know. I feel like a 2-year-old could do it. Like you're just color coding, or then like you'll either get a yellow or a red thing over your head, and then like either dodge or hit the parry button. So I guess to me, it just feels so basic. It feels like things I've played a million times. It feels too easy. So it's just not all that engaging for me. And I guess I'm also slightly bummed at just how much combat there is in this game relative to other things. I was really hoping this game would have. I don't know if I want more puzzles. I think I just want better puzzles, but more of just a variety of things to do. But most quests ultimately do boil down to go to location, go in this dungeon, fight enemies, pick up objects, do these 2 out of 10 puzzles, and then go home and you're good. So I guess I maybe just wanted a bit more variety. So yeah, I don't know. You guys have any other thoughts on the combat? Any ways that you were able to have more fun with it or otherwise?
I think the simplicity factor of it never really bothered me too much. It very much, like Travis compared it to that Arkham system that they have in place. Same thing with like Shadow of Mordor, where you're just kind of waiting for that parry button. And I really love those types of systems when they're implemented in the games that they are. I get it. Like in a Dark Souls type setting, it would be terrible to have a setting like that because like it's all based around the gameplay and the difficulty. But I attribute this sort of system to being like what Taylor said, being like a more cinematic experience, because that is really what it is. You match the color. It's not too difficult, but when you hit it, you get this really nice vibrant explosion that goes off, and then I'm with Taylor. I like feeling like just a really powerful wizard just popping off, and so like the visuals of the effects, it looked amazing. So for me, I think I was really digging it and having fun with it. Maybe I'm just bad too. I didn't find it too easy. I was on normal, and I felt like there was definitely areas when I was getting bought. Maybe I was getting too lazy on like resupplying on my Wig and Welds or anything. Because if I was low on Wig and Welds, I feel like I would just get bopped every time. But if I have like 20 Wicked Welds, the combat's so easy. I don't know what it was. I would be going through phases with that. But I again, I feel like I would have just wanted more spells just for a little bit more customizability, because I imagine we all kind of had the same rotation of abilities. There's only so many like attacking abilities that you can do. Like, you know, there's limited slots that you can have for the amount of spells available. But I feel like the ones that we're using, like there might be one or two that we swapped out, but you know, like I just more is the better. It's the same thing if we're comparing to like Spider-Man and the suits. I love suits. Just give me more, and I'll be happy with it. But maybe I'm just being a little bit too greedy in that sense. I was really hoping to get the Half-Blood Prince spell, the Sectum Sempra, when Harry does that on Malfoy, and it just like makes him bleed from like internally or whatever. It's a very vicious spell. I understand why it's not in there, but I was looking out for it.
Yeah, I think the combat for me, like I liked the beginning, but once I got all the powers, I think that's the thing I started to like the least after a while, where it just felt kind of easier. And like I talked about, it just was like you said, Dylan, you get there, very repetitive, you fight. I still like it enough. I have a good time with it. I think it's more so that a lot of the powers there are different, but they pretty much do the same thing between an ice Leviosa and like turning them into a crate or a cup. It's like technically they are different spells, yes, but they just do the same thing. It freezes a guy in air, puts him in the air and stuff like that. So I think that's where most of them were different, but they did pretty much the same thing. You know, all the fire ones were pretty much about fire and stuff like that. That's what I do like. Once I found out how you unlock all the dark powers, I was like, okay, I'm gonna get all these, because those are three very different ones. You know, insta kill, taking a control over somebody, and then hurting them. It's like, okay, these are three very different ones. So that was my goal. Once I found out that, did all those, but then yeah. So
did that make the experience much better?
A little bit, but that's when I got them. Unfortunately, the back half, when I was already kind of not like super enthralled in the game anymore. I wish I got them sooner, but it made it a little bit. But the good thing is, I got to play with all those powers early on, because Taylor talked about this. Those battle arenas, I found when I was like level 5. And it's like, you probably shouldn't be doing this right now, but I got in there and found I could use Avada Kedavra and all this stuff. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to do this. And I just stayed in there for like 45 minutes till I beat and stuff. So I wish I got them sooner, but I think it helps a little bit, yeah. And a good sound effect, too, on the PlayStation remote when you do it. It's just like it just sounds like hell is coming out for you if you use this. So
I haven't crossed that line yet. The only unforgivable I've used is Imperio. I feel like that's the less severe out of all of them.
That's the paralysis one?
You like take control of them.
Yeah, the voodoo ball. Yeah.
Because Crucio is just like torture. That's pretty.
Yeah, they just get in pain while they're there. That's just and
then Avada Kedavra, just the insta kill. I feel like Imperio is the lesser of the three. That's like my own moral explanation for how I can use it.
and I love too when you get it. It's not so much like they got to be a little lower, or you can't use anybody. But like, you can bump into a massive troll that has a huge health P bar. You hit him with Avada Kedavra, it's over. Like, he's dead. And I really appreciate that in the game, because I hate games like that do that, where it's like, oh yeah, the insta kill movies or shows. Well, it's a video game. You can't really do it here. But here, no, I'm sure it doesn't work on bosses. I haven't got to a boss battle since I've gotten it, but I'm sure it doesn't work there. But I imagine all the big goons so far, it's worked on everything I've done. So,
anything to add on the combat, Taylor?
Again, like I kind of said earlier, I totally think it's simple. It's nice. It's underneath the game Two Worlds too, like in terms of just combining and getting really creative with
I've
your
never heard of this
spells.
game, but I want to check it out. I looked up the Steam thing. I'm into it. This is my jam right here.
I don't know if it aged very well. The first one, I don't even know if it aged very well. The fact
I
got a
like when
sequel
games don't
blows my
age well.
mind.
Those are my favorite kind of games.
But just the way that you can combine the spells in this, I really, really like that. And it's very like I'd say very black and white, and it's just very simplistic in a way that I really like that. I'm not opposed to it getting a lot more of an upgrade though, and maybe like Hogwarts Legacy 2, or just kind of like really expanding on it. I'd love to be able to kind of get into like spell creation or something like that, like not where you're necessarily like Ascendo and like Accio and like burning them, all that kind of stuff.
Forgot that one.
Spell
Forgot that
names
one,
and then
yeah.
burning people.
Burn them spell. But specifically like crafting like your was it secta sempra, is that
Yeah.
sectus
Sectum Sempra is what I thought it was.
succum
Secum
Suck 'em,
Secum.
that's a different spell. Yeah,
Secum Sempra.
yeah. Suck from the inside.
but yeah, just kind of like even crafting that'd be kind of cool. But anyways, with this game though, again, combat's nice. I don't feel like I'm at a point where like if I see trolls and stuff like that, like it's like, oh, it's on, like I'm dipping around, like using like Protego or dodging around and just like picking
Burning
up,
them.
burning them. I love it. I can go full Assassin's Creed in here too, which is great. I can go cloak, I can go in, and I can go like Pacificus Totalis and just like bop
That's just
these,
OP,
these
man.
goblins.
Oh,
It is
yeah.
OP.
Like when you get
Yeah.
the AOE upgrade on it. Oh my god, I just have skipped so many fights, which that feels good.
Like the fact that you can go full assassin definitely is up my alley with this. I like that more than the whole like going invisible, sneaking around and shit. That pisses me off because then a prefect catches you, like, you're out. Fuck. So, but the combat wise, sometimes I just wish I could just fucking
You're
fire
out.
upon them.
Amazing.
You should have went a Slytherin.
Secum Sempra.
Best wizard in the land. He is Succum Centra. No one knows that spell.
It is hilarious when you use that stealth thing, Taylor. When you essentially paralyze someone, and they're just like they fall on the ground, and they're like their teammates don't care though, and they're like, oh, I guess my buddy is taking a
No.
nap over
When
here.
I used it on like when I first used it on the goblins in that camp, and I thought, okay, cool. Like it's just I used it, and he just like froze up like Neville, and then just collapsed over. I thought, okay, cool. Is the body just gonna stay here? Then he just fucking disappears, like he got Thanos snapped. I was like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
killing them. Okay, so
Yeah, you know your character, cold-blooded murderer in this game. It's pretty
Absolutely.
crazy. And like I found that so weird. The start of the game is like here's this band of like incredibly powerful dark wizards, and you just murk them like instantly. The power fantasy once again that leads into my student thing. We're like, wow, I am way too powerful immediately, but we've talked about that enough. My last thing here is really just talk about the story a little bit. We've talked about Sidequest. Travis, suck it up. Let's get back to business here. I don't know if I really have much to say about the main story where I'm at. Obviously, we can't really talk full spoilers here because we're all at kind of different points in the story. Kirkland being the only one who's beaten the game. But for me, I think for me, like almost immediately when it was like a Chosen One story with this ancient magic, I was almost a bit checked out. That's just, once again, like it's a story. It's the decision the path they wanted to go down, but it's still like not what I wanted for this game. And maybe it was all over the marketing. You are this Chosen One with this ancient magic, god powers. But I like immediately I'm like, oh man, I just wanted to be a nobody, had this student and brew my potions and live my life. But it's like, no, this is not the game that we're making here. But yeah, other than that, like I don't know. I guess you're going around and you're encountering these other characters through these portraits who were also had connections to ancient magic and whatnot. But I don't know, man. I don't know if I could care less. It's just not really doing anything for me. But I'm curious, Kirkland. You're at the end of this thing. Does it have a nice ending? I feel there's one. I'm gonna say professor that I'm like, this guy is 100% doing like a heel turn at some point, and he's like been like grooming me for this point in the story. So you don't have to spoil that or anything. But how are you feeling about the story, the main story at least, now that you have rolled credits on it? Or did you roll credits, or did credits come up like who knows when?
It didn't roll credits, but like when I
Interesting.
finished the quest, it just said you completed the main story. Go
Okay.
do the other field pages and all the other things. So
No
Get
credits
back out
ever.
there for those
not
trials.
super satisfying. Yeah, like it's weird because I feel like at the end of the game there is, like I was kind of alluding to early on, where like there is that decision moment, just like what do you want to do, and it should be this really like intense thing, and like I haven't played the other way to go about it, or like reloaded that save to try that method, so I don't know if it 100% plays out. But when I was reading online on like other people that did the other explanation, like it doesn't seem like it changes anything in the grand scheme of things, which is unfortunate because as I laid out earlier, like it seems like the overall story is like, you know, minor spoilers. There's this character who had similar powers to you that went down this path. Are you gonna go down that same path and like do bad
shit.
things? So it's like that question, but I feel like it's the same thing with the dialogue options we were talking about. Like the writers of this story have their predetermined path that you like the character is going down. So
Will you go down the path we've chosen for you?
yeah, you probably will, because
Or will you uninstall the game?
Yeah.
But like at the end of the day, I think I enjoyed the overall story enough. The chosen one, it didn't bother me that much. I feel like early on I saw the comparisons to the Harry Potter character of that chosen one character. You know, you're right away. Of course you're dueling the Slytherin
How are you
punk
so
like right
good?
away. Yeah, and it's just like, okay, this like, am I really just gonna be the whole Harry Potter thing? But I think the explanation of the ancient magic, it was different enough for me to see my character just on a different on a different hill than what Harry Potter went through. So that was good for me, but it's by any means, it's not like the greatest, like character tale by any means or storyline in that regard. But I think it was good enough for what was going on, especially like having the goblins as the enemy. You have these ashwinders and the poachers. I think the overall like cast of villains, it suited this world good. You don't have just like basically Voldemort's lackeys. I feel like I was expecting that coming into it, but they very much like had the
Specifically
villains.
Voldemort's lackeys. He's not even born yet, but it's still like, oh, the dark wizards.
He's coming.
Weasley's telling you one day you're gonna fight.
So yeah,
And my great grandson will.
Yes,
Yeah.
I've had a vision.
I thought all that stuff was good. I thought the keepers were good. And I really did like a lot of the main quests that we go on. There's one particular one. I think it is a main story quest. I think it's one of the trials that you go through. So I was gonna bring it up today, but I don't think you guys have gone through it yet. But once you do that quest, I think it's by far the coolest quest in the entire game. I think you'll know of it when you cross paths with it. It's just so different than the rest of the game. So I'm excited to
Nice.
hear from you guys on that regard.
I like the idea of those trials, and maybe I haven't done that last one, so that might be what you're referring to. In the moment, they just felt like I liked the layout, but I kind of hated that every type of it, like it was the same enemy type. Like I wish there was a lot of variation. It's always this type of like. The rooms look very similar, and it's a type of like shiny magic and gold around. I wish there was some like, because I think eventually in a couple of weeks they'll all like blend together. Really, of like, oh, just I remember those trials. But I think the story for this is passable, but I don't think it needed to be anything more, because I think like what you're wanting is the world. I don't think it's a bad story. I think it's like what you said, Dylan. It's an easy cop out. The chosen one. I didn't necessarily want that, but it's like, okay, this is where we're here. Of course, would I want me to be coming? I haven't finished it, so maybe I'll change my mind. But so far from what I've played, over a day's worth of gameplay, there's not anything where I'm like, man, this story is like now the main objectives have kind of just slipped to being like other side objectives, it feels like, right? So it's one of these things I don't feel like I have an urgency to do them, because sometimes if there's certain games where I want to know the character's fate or what's going to happen or the twist, that's like, well, I'm going through the main objective. We're reviewing Last of Us, like obviously that's something different than those side quests, but that's a game where it's like, oh, I want to get to the next cutscene because I want to know what's happening next. This, I don't have that urgency with our main story and stuff like that, but I think it's passable. It's not bad. It does its job. So that's you, Taylor. You got anything to say about the story?
Sorry, I was like, Connor, I heard you go like, oh, I was wondering what was going on.
Suck up, son.
As far as story goes, I was so kind of like lost as to what was going on, like the connection with the like the pensive memories and like what was kind of like happening, because there's a moment where like our professor Fig was like I think I need like more context or something like that. I'm like, fuck, Fig, me too, bud. I guess I'm not really sure what's going on. So as
that was the
story...
dialogue option. Fuck me too.
Fuck me too, Fig.
Fucking right.
Though that being said, as it goes on, once we get to see like into Morgananark, is that how you say her name, Morgananark?
What?
Sounds good.
Morgana.
that
Oh
good.
yeah, Isidoro Morganagark or whatever.
Morgananark. Yeah. Once we kind of see her, and I didn't even like click in right away. Okay, like she's aging. She's the same girl from the village, and she's getting kind of older here now. She's a professor, so I like that. Now it's kind of like it's getting interesting. Now it's kind of seeing like, okay, like here you're gonna be able to see the comparisons, like you were kind of talking about Kirkland there. So I'm assuming that's at least the comparisons they're alluding to. But it's it'll be interesting. So
All right.
Yeah.
Do you guys have anything else that we haven't brought up yet?
No, I just checked my notes. I've hit everything.
Do you think they'd add like I know they said whatever about DLC, but it'd be cool if they added like
What did they
classes.
say about DLC?
No DLC.
Okay.
No
I
plans
thought you could have
whatsoever.
said that, but you're like, yeah, they said whatever about DLC.
Said
It's like,
whatever.
Yeah.
what does that mean?
I think it would be cool if they had like more of that dark side thing that you said, Travis. Like again, I don't know if like personally I would
I don't think that would be DLC. That'd be a massive expansion add-on. I think.
do like
and at the
Horcrux
back end of the game,
lessons.
you've beat the game, and now you can be good and bad.
Adding an alignment meter to the game.
When you've completed everything.
It'll change 90% of the quests in the game.
So replay it now.
I would love though to be able to make like Horcruxes. Like if a student really pisses you off and you kill the student, and then you can like create a Horcrux of an object or something.
Well, and maybe I'm waiting for this, but like Kirkland said he hadn't got that Vatican ever. So I remember the developers being like, there's no alignment system, you can use it, but there will be consequences if you do. It's like I've been fucking having a bunch of random fucking poachers and nothing's happening to me. So I don't know.
It's like either I kill them or I've got to cadaver them anyway. Like, what's the difference, really?
Yeah.
You'll be playing one night, and all of a sudden you'll see these Dementors start to sit there like,
Yeah.
what the fuck's going on?
You remember those 15 students you killed?
Like, if I was a
Next
poacher,
time.
if I was a poacher, I think I'd rather die to that than like getting ripped apart by cabbage. Like
Yeah.
I don't think I want to go
true.
that way.
Yeah.
Just like speaking about like I love the overall just design. I think of a lot of the villains in this game. The Ashwinders had some cool style to them. I like how they had like infamous villains. They're kind of like the legendary ones that you hunt down,
Yeah.
which is kind of funny because you can really bop them easily. I found if you just like Petrificus Totalis them.
I
all
feel
of
like
a
their
sudden
health bar is bigger on the screen, but I don't think it actually has more HP. Is what I felt was when I was playing
just like
through that.
scaled up to make it look
Yeah.
bigger. But yeah, like I thought they looked really cool. The goblins were freaky, especially like the magic ones with the metal arms. The trolls were really looking cool, and man, spiders were freaking terrifying in this game. They really hit home on those spiders and the fear factor of it, especially if you're just in like certain areas with the signs warning you of the spiders, then you go into like the layers. I thought all that stuff was really freaky, and there's some sections, last week I didn't have school, so just playing till like 3 a.m. or something, and I'm just in the Forbidden Forest. I was getting freaked out at some sections. I feel like there's some spiders popping out, and like
Wake
there'll also
Shay
be
up.
like
Holy fuck!
holy fuck. No, she was not home. But yeah, I thought overall like the designs of the villains, but also I guess of the other characters as well. I thought they looked good there. Yeah. All that stuff was good. The beast
Sorry, I
as
took
well.
water.
No, yeah,
I
sorry,
took
bad
water
time.
as I-
Bad time.
I like had something in my throat. My last thing I want to shout out was actually the music, because I don't know why when the theme, like the Harry Potter theme, hit in this, I was not expecting that. I don't know why. I just thought like for rights reasons, whatever, that they would not be able to just use that, and like because to that point in the game there was not generic, but like it felt like Harry Potter-ish music, but it wasn't the exact same themes. But then sometimes like, those actual themes will come in, or whenever you do one of those guild field pages, whatever those are called, and it plays that little jingle part of the melody. Like I really like that. To me, that was a huge part of putting me in that world. And the songs that they created for this, that I assume are new, maybe they're hidden somewhere in the movie or something like that, are quite nice. Like I like it, and it feels like it fits in that world perfectly. It's seamless. Like that could have been pulled from the movie, but instead it is a new composition. So definitely shout outs to that.
When you come through that like that portal, and then you're just at Hogwarts, and it follows the owl, and like that theme plays. Man, I had like just major goosebumps in that time, and like that was probably like 9:30, like the night it came out. I was just like, holy fuck, what am I about to venture out on? This is fantastic.
There are moments like that really hit. Like the one I just did before we got on here was when you finally get the hippogriff and you're riding down, and then like the Hogwarts Express is cruising in, and then you end up following it down the valley right back to Hogwarts. It's like, that was awesome. Like some of these kind of set piece moments really work, and obviously a lot of it is playing on nostalgia. But even if the moments that aren't, like there are some really nice moments like that.
No, absolutely. And like just speaking upon the sound, I like the sound of like the spell, specifically Loomis. That's just such like they nailed that exact same sound that was in the movie, and I
Yeah.
loved any moment I had to use it, and like the lighting effect of it, just the spells in
Yeah.
general. They
The lighting
nailed
is
that.
insane in this game. So
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, Kirkland: are there werewolves?
Oh, they're werewolves. There's Animagus.
That's the one. Yeah. Well, no. Sorry, difference. They're different things, right? Werewolves and
Yeah.
animagus are different. So there's no werewolves that you have found yet.
I haven't encountered one. There might be out there in other side quests or what. It's
I
not
hope
a
so.
main quest aspect.
Cool.
Kirkland, are you playing on PlayStation? I assume, right?
Yeah.
PS5. Did you do that like Haunted Mansion Hogsmeade quest? That's a PlayStation exclusive. Or Travis, are you on PlayStation
No.
as well?
I am, but I didn't know that, so I'll have to look for it.
Huh.
Yeah,
No, I
there's a PlayStation exclusive quest.
Oh
that
wait.
has 1 year exclusivity, and then it's coming to Xbox. But it's like a
Okay.
haunted. I think it's haunted Hogsmeade something related.
I was gonna say, well, actually, then yeah, maybe because do any of you have like a shop of your own?
No.
Okay, because I think that's the end result of that quest actually. So
Okay.
yeah, that quest. I'm glad you reminded me because that was actually one of my favorites in the entire storyline. It was
That's
very,
what I've heard from people.
Yeah,
It
it
the
was-
best quest behind a
do it,
paywall. Yeah.
It was very freaky as well. It's like a very psychological, like trippy quest, which I just
Right.
wasn't expecting at all. Yeah, I randomly came across it, and it's freaky. For
How
sure.
does the shop work?
Yeah,
what is the
so
vibe there?
that's something I meant to bring up.
Can you
when
like
we're
make
talking about
potions and
items.
sell them and stuff?
As with many things in this game, it's a great idea that just falls very flat. It's very very limited. It's basically just another area to sell things, and that's about it, which is big disappointment. You can't.
Do they
even,
get
like,
sold instantly, or do
Yeah,
you get
it's
money? Okay.
It's the exact same price and way to sell things at the other shops or like anywhere else, but it's just a nice way to do it on your own, I guess.
It's
and
just
like
with you though. Like, can you pop it up, open at any time?
Where
No,
do
you have
do
to go
it?
to the shop. So you go to the shop. You have someone that's working at the desk for you, and then she like sells everything
Oh,
for
like
you.
in Hogsmeade, you get a store
Yeah.
that opens.
and like you get to name
Oh,
it. I guess
alright.
that's kind of cool. It's the same thing.
Oh.
It's like you get the 3 different options. So
Interesting. Huh.
one of us will have the same name for it.
I'll check out
but
that quest in
Yeah.
in 12 months. I'll go back and check that out.
the quest for sure is fantastic, Travis. You should definitely do
will
it
now,
if you so yeah, I liked it a lot, but it's just like the way to sell it is just it's lame because like you can't customize the shop at all. You can't customize the prices or anything. I still though, like that's where I go to sell all my shit. It's also like right next to a flu portal thing, so it's convenient. That's where I go in my Hogsmeade. But it's just again like it's such a great concept to like have this place that I could sell things, maybe customize it. We can already customize things in the room requirement, but it's just it's
Interesting, yeah.
it falls very short there, which is big unfortunate. And forgot to mention too, just like the whole crafting of the wand. I thought that was a really cool sequence of the game. It's not the
cool.
craziest thing in the world, but still I thought it was lots of fun.
Mm-hmm. There's a little customization. Kirkland, you've rolled credits. Sounds like you're not going to go
Yeah.
back. Do you want to throw a rating on this thing?
Yeah, sure. I think I'm gonna give this one. It's tough because I I think this score is gonna be heavily modified by nostalgia in general, and like I feel like just for talking purposes, we did break down a lot of like negatives of the game, but all like overall, man. 35 hours in, like I had so much fun playing this game.
Yeah.
It very much fell short, but like that's just to my main theme of this review, where it's like they showed me a great idea that if they just kept going with it, this could have been like the greatest RPG I've probably ever played in my life. But unfortunately, it's just limited. Probably doesn't have the craziest replay value that I was hoping. But all in all, man, like it took me to the Wizarding World and Hogwarts and all that stuff. So I think I'm gonna give this a 9 out of 10.
right.
Honestly, so the mark off is just like the limited end game content there. That I mean, like I haven't even done anything in the end game content, but I feel like I don't really have to. I think there's like maybe a couple side quests that I wanted to go check out, but just not really anything.
Yeah,
pulling
maybe
me
look
in.
up like a article of like best quests in
Yeah.
the game and go do those highlight ones or something like that.
No, yeah, exactly. That's a good way to go about it. But like the initial playthrough and just like the initial hours of the game. It blew me away. I had so much fun playing this. Yeah, having lots of fun like managing the beasts too. I don't know if you guys knew this, but you can get like basically like auto feeders and stuff like in the
cool.
vivaniums, whatever the hell it's called, and like different toys and stuff to just like have it a little bit like automated of a system in there. So I was messing around a little bit with that stuff, and like there is stuff to consume time into, but I just feel like now that I've hit all those main pillars, it's just I don't have that same pull to get in there, which is unfortunate. But yeah, great first playthrough. If you're a Hogwarts fan, Harry Potter fan, I highly recommend this game.
Cool. Travis, Taylor, do you guys want to throw a number on it? You can if you want.
I think I'm an 8, and I think that's where it's going to stay. I don't see there's any changes. I think there's a part of me that could have been a 9. There's part of me that could be a bit lower, but maybe because I think they do so well. And like I said, that kind of fan fulfillment, just like they capture the spirit of what Harry Potter Hogwarts is and all that stuff. So 8, and I don't think like unless I finish the story, I'm like, oh my gosh, but I've never heard anyone talk about the story being the main crux of why this is a great game. So I think this is where I am, but about an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
I honestly would probably go like 9.5 out of 10. Like it's as far as it goes, just kind of re-experiencing like the Wizarding World. This has been a fantastic breath of fresh air. It's doing a lot right, and I think that to have such a great kind of foundation that of the franchise I'm familiar with being the movies, and then being able to detach itself from that and just kind of like have similar things that are familiar to the movies, things that you can kind of latch onto, but just kind of standing it on its own 2 feet and just being a really good like beginning into hopefully what we get is more Harry Potter games that really build off of this. I think that's perfect. And again, this game, like, it's super addicting. I'm still super invested into it, and it's just fun to get the Easter eggs and do the spells and just really immerse yourself in this open world Harry Potter experience. And yeah, it's just to think hopefully in the future we get like Hogwarts Legacy 2 and 3 and just think back like this is where it started for the most part on this kind of like trajectory. Then yeah.
It's selling like crazy, so I'm sure we will get those follow-up games and whatnot. So I'm curious to see what that'll be. Thank you guys for joining me. It was fun to have a 4-man Sidequest review for a new game. That's kind of a fresh new thing. We haven't done a lot of those in recent times. But yeah, that's it for Hogwarts Legacy. I think this game will probably come up on Sidequest for the next couple months. I know I'm still going to be playing it. I think I'll slow down a little bit. I don't know if I'll roll credits. It sounds like you don't even roll credits. I don't know if I'll beat the main story. But I think I'll just continue to mess around and like build out my room requirement and whatnot. And I'm sure Taylor and Travis, when you're on Sidequest, if you guys beat the game or get further and you want to talk about it more, we'll do that for sure. But thank you everyone for listening. Thank you for the questions from Superman Mike and Fanboy Clay. And we'll be back next week with some more video game goodness over here on Sidequest. Thank you everyone for listening. See you next time. Bye-bye.